It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unhappy Hour. However, the Cleveland Cavaliers have drafted the number one overall pick. Three out of the past 4 years? Kyrie Irving, Anthony Bennett, and now, drum roll, please. Here, let me skip forward in the song to a drum. Yeah, we'll skip forward. Instead of a drum roll, we'll do like drum solo. Drum solo, please. Here it goes. And cue drum solo, Mr. Johnny Rabb. The Cavs have selected Andrew Wiggins, number one overall, and I'm happy with that move. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in NBA scout and lifelong Cleveland sports fan Zak Baris to break it all down and tell us what it means, because now we're into free agency period. Is LeBron coming home to Cleveland? What in the world is happening? Let's get him on the horn right about now, shall we? The answer is yes, we shall.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm living the dream, Zach. How are you, sir?
Good. Been a busy week.
Yes, it has. And yeah, Andrew Wiggins, we've been talking about him. You have been specifically talking about him for a very long time. You've been a big Andrew Wiggins fan. He's a little rough around the edges in a few regards where, let's just say he has a little bit more development to do. But, I mean, he's a rookie. Even LeBron had development to do. So, I mean, can you kind of hit reset for me? Let's talk about the number one draft pick before we get into the rest, kind of break down the rest of the draft and maybe touch on free agency. When was the first time you heard the name Andrew Wiggins, and what have you learned about him as you followed him through high school?
I heard his name I want to say it was about 5 years ago. I think it was his freshman or sophomore year of high school. And his name really came on board a few years ago at the Nike Hoops Summit in Portland, where he was known, but not like, he was known because of his dad, but he wasn't.
Wait, but explain who his dad was with the Rockets. Explain that.
His dad was Mitchell Wiggins, a player who played back in the 1980s, wound up having a cocaine suspension, and never really got back into the league after that. He had problems getting back in, but apparently he was a good guy. I don't know much about him, but what I got out of it was seeing at the Hoop Summit a few years ago, Jabari Parker was the big name going into the Hoop Summit. Andrew Wiggins almost put up a quadruple-double.
Whoa, hey now.
I remember... I said to myself, I've never seen anything like this kid. He was that good.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And I remember coming out of there, I remember even mentioning him on the show right after that. This had to be 3 years ago. And I'll never forget mentioning him on the show. And I said, the name to look out for in a couple of years is the name Andrew Wiggins, a Canadian basketball player. And like I said, he's been on my radar ever since. I know he's been on the show's radar ever since because we've talked about him numerous times on the show. Last year, going into the season, I guaranteed he would be the number one overall pick this year, and thanks to the Embiid injury, he was.
Yeah, and Joel Embiid, of course, he had the back injury that everybody knew about. They worked him out and said, okay, he looks pretty good. Oh, wait, he broke his foot, and it's like, gosh, are we really drafting?
I love Embiid as a prospect, but the one thing that worries me about this day and age center is they can't seem to stay healthy, and I think the Cavaliers may have gotten a great player in Embiid if they would have taken him, even before the injury. But to pass on Wiggins, just something told me it was that Durant Odin feeling. If you get my drift.
Yeah, Greg Oden, of course, from Ohio State, a huge man, a bit of a man-child coming out of college. He had the LeBron thing where he looked like a 36-year-old man. He
looked like Bill Russell.
Yeah, he did. He looked like a very old man. He looked like Kyrie Irving when he does his makeup and he's Uncle Drew. And you're like, well, no way this kid's in college. But he's a big guy. He gets picked by the Portland Trailblazers, can never stay healthy. And you go, wow, what a waste of a draft pick. And that's what the Cavs were thinking. Like, man, we've picked Dion Waiters, we've picked Tristan Thompson, we've picked a few players that, Anthony Bennett hasn't done much. And like you said, give Anthony Bennett a minute with the new coach, him being in shape and his shoulder injury being healed in a new system. Give him a second to develop. Don't write him off just yet. But, the Cavs really were not in a position to just roll the dice on Embiid. They needed
No.
a player that could play now, and this guy's a good
Philadelphia
alternative.
Did, though. Philadelphia's done it 2 years in a row with getting the consensus number 1 overall pick in the draft 2 years in a row, not at number 1 due to injuries. And when I looked at this, is Philadelphia could have their version of the Twin Towers, or if I'm going to make an insensitive comment, I'm going to say it. Philadelphia could also have their version of the Twin Towers after a catastrophic event. But seriously, though, Philadelphia could have all or nothing. They could have half. But
no, I get you. The Twin Towers, of course, referring to, what was that? Duncan and David Robinson? We'll
refer to them as those Twin Towers.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously the comparison of Twin Towers, I get it, because you have
to understand. And like I said, I'm not trying to say anything insensitive here, but when you're taking an actual look at it, that's basically what you're looking at right now. Is saying, okay, if all comes out well, we've got the next Tim Duncan and David Robinson. This team can win 5 championships with these two if they're at 110, if they're at 100%.
Right.
Odds either one of them will ever be at 100%. I'd put Noel higher because of an ACL injury, but like I said, when these guys are 7 feet tall, you don't tend to heal properly. That's just what happens.
And wasn't it Yao Ming? Didn't he have the same foot injury that Embiid just had?
Ilgauskas had it too. Ilgauskas got a foot injury and missed the first few years of his career. I mean, the guy really didn't take off until I think it was maybe 2000, 2001, but I mean, he sat for 2 to 3 years. Nobody ever thought he would play.
It seemed like a bust at the time, and then he turned into a very consistent rebounding machine, tons of offensive rebounds, and a very good jump shot, and a very solid, if not quasi-great Cavs player, and not the best in the league, but Z was a very great player, very good player for a long time coming back from the injury, but that's what the Sixers were able to do after taking Nerlens Noel last year. They were able to put him on the shelf for a year. Now he comes back, and they put Embiid on the shelf, and then he can come back. So, I mean, it is an interesting strategy for them that may, who knows? I mean, it may pan out. And they also got Elfrid Payton. What do you think of him?
No, they traded Elfrid Payton to Orlando. They wound up with Dario Saric.
Okay, yes, they're stashing
that was what
players.
Should have happened all along. I was going to say, when they took Elfrid Payton, I was sitting there going, I go, there's no way they are keeping this pick. I said it to myself. I go, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't understand this. I go, there has to be a trade. And I said, the only thing, and then when Orlando selected Dario Saric, I go, okay, we've got a trade. I knew there was going to be an immediate trade between those two teams.
Yeah, and
because neither one of them fit with each other. And what Philadelphia was doing, what Orlando was doing was, who selected first? Oh, no, Philadelphia selected first. What Philly was doing was holding that pick that Orlando had owned one of their picks, was basically holding it hostage for them because they knew that Dario Saric was not a fit in Orlando. And they had that deal worked out beforehand. They knew that. So they knew they were going to get a deal for Elfrid Payton.
It's weird how the NBA does their draft when they trade picks.
In
they're
football,
not confirmed.
All players are traded before the pick. In the NBA, the league has to approve the trade going forward, so all the trades are made after. So a team will have a deal worked out over the phone. And like that deal with Orlando, with Philadelphia taking Elfrid Payton like that, saying, okay, Orlando, listen, we're taking Elfrid Payton here, whether you like it or not. We're going to take him. We're going to trade him or Michael Carter-Williams. This is your chance. You take Dario Saric at 12. You make that trade with us and give us back our first-round pick from the Dwight Howard deal.
Interesting move. Very interesting move. They're clearly stashing talent. Although I heard that to get Saric back, it's only like $500,000 or something, which in the grand scheme of things is not that tough to get the buyout from his Euro deal.
No, it's not.
But do you think they're going to stash him or buy him?
I tend to think he's coming over right away.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's my thought. I don't think he's a stash. I really don't. I think he's a guy that's going to come over right away.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. We have some time on that. But real quick then, Andrew Wiggins, the guy you've been following for a very long time, what kind of player are we getting? I'm hearing great defensive player. He didn't show up. You're
getting a guy. I remember saying this on the show. He didn't show up at the tournament this year. But, like I said, the greatest player in the NBA right to this day right now, go look at the championship from 2007. The guy's PER was 12.9 in that final series. And go look at the finals from 2011. Okay, he was non-existent in both of those. yet he's the greatest player in the NBA who now has 2 rings. Okay? Some guys don't mature all at the same time. I'd rather have a guy which, this is almost a Carmelo-LeBron debate. It really is with Jabari and Wiggins. And the reason I say this is Andrew Wiggins is a complete player. Jabari's not. Jabari, you know what you're getting. You're getting a guy who can score in this league. You're getting a guy who's, probably a guaranteed future All-Star, could win a scoring title someday. I don't think he will win a scoring title someday, but you're getting a guy who has that kind of potential who can. Now, the difference is with Andrew Wiggins, you're getting a guy that's going to put up, he's going to play LeBron-type defense. He's going to sit there, and he's going to develop offensively. There's no doubt in my mind. He's a hardworking kid, and the kid can be a monster at points. I mean, his athleticism is just freakishly high. Like, it's unbelievable. It's one of the highest vertical leaps I've ever seen. I mean, the kid is an amazing athlete. He's a superior athlete to Jabari Parker, and I don't think it's close. And having a backcourt now with Kyrie and Wiggins essentially gives the Cavs I'm going to say the second best young backcourt in the league right now.
Behind.
Because I would have to put Beal and Wall ahead of them.
Okay.
But let's put it this way. If Wiggins develops properly, the Cavs backcourt will be leaps and bounds ahead of the Washington Wizards within a year.
And that's a very good thing for Kyrie as he figures out, what he's supposed to do, what his role is moving forward. But of course, there are decisions that have to be made with his contract coming up. But what I liked about Andrew Wiggins, he came out today talking about what his goals are. He wants to be all defensive team and rookie of the year and an all-star. Like, I like that. That's what you're supposed to do. And
I think this is a guy you've got that want to be here. Beats me by anybody. I don't care if you're an hour and a half away from home. I would never want to live in Milwaukee, and I certainly as hell wouldn't want to play in Milwaukee. I'm telling you that right now. You got an old decrepit arena in the Bradley Center, which is I think the oldest in the NBA right now, behind Madison Square Garden. But Madison Square Garden has been renovated.
Right.
Okay.
Well, there's a new owner in Milwaukee. They might be up to something.
But I'm saying that you have virtually no media attention up there, none. Cleveland, whatever people say about it, Cleveland still gets the hype. That's the thing is Cleveland will still get the hype. They do. Cleveland will have a fair amount of national televised games this year because of Kyrie and Wiggins. People are going to want to see that. And I think Wiggins could have a big year. Now, it remains to be seen, I think, with Chris Broussard breaking the Kevin Love last night. I think that was just common knowledge anyways.
All right, common knowledge anyways. Did we lose you, Zach? We may have lost your cell phone. But, of course, we're talking about the news that Kevin Love... Hang on, I'm just going to call Zach back. The news that Kevin Love would like to play in Cleveland if LeBron signs long-term, meaning Kevin Love will sign, it'll be a sign and trade or a trade and sign or a trade with the provision to sign or sign the deal and then you sign him, what would it be? Probably sign him with the Bucks, with the Timberwolves, and then you trade. So, I guess a sign and trade to come play with LeBron if LeBron signs a decent deal. God, could you imagine Kevin Love? How do you make the finances of that one work? But, I don't know. We have a lot of young assets. A lot of people want young assets, especially someone getting rid of Kevin Love. Could that work? Here, let's see if we can get Zach back on the show. Unless his phone died. That would be...
Hey, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. You were saying about the news with Kevin Love, that he'd like
to
play
my
Cleveland.
headphones popped out in the middle of it, so...
It's fantastic.
So what I was going to say was, Chris Broussard basically stated the obvious last night, but it was good to get reassurance. Saying that, Kevin Love would sign long-term if you get LeBron. I think that really helps. Now, I think the Shabazz Napier thing is great for Miami. I think it helps.
That Shabazz Napier thing made me so angry because that's exactly...
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Looking at it, to honestly believe that a rookie is going to entice LeBron to stay that 23 other teams passed up upon, are you kidding me? If that's going to be the reason he stays, fine.
Hey, you know what? LeBron also lobbied like hell to get Larry Hughes on the team, and we saw how that turned out. He wants things for whatever reason, and sometimes it doesn't work, and it cripples your franchise with bad contracts. Not that Shabazz
One of the reasons the Cavaliers took Christian Ienga a few years ago is because LeBron was so high on him a few years ago, and then when he came over, he left.
Yeah, that's pretty smooth. Okay, well, I get your point. He's done it before. He could do it again. I get you. That was a pretty shrewd move by Pat Riley to do that.
I wasn't angry about it. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, well, all these people going nuts. He's the 24th pick in the draft. There's a reason why he fell to the 24th pick. You know, this is a guy who really didn't turn it on until the tournament time last year. You know, yeah, he's got a high motor, but at the same time, he might not show up. I don't think he's ever going to be an all-star point guard in the NBA. He's not Kemba Walker, and there's a reason he wasn't selected where Kemba was selected. You know, there's a reason he wasn't the fifth over. You know, Kemba was the fourth or fifth overall pick a few years ago. There's a reason, or maybe he was sixth or seventh. I don't know. I know Kemba was top 7, and he was 7, I believe, because he went to the Bobcats at that pick. Maybe even 8. I think he was 7 or 8. And going back to it, he's not Kemba. He's not the talent Kemba was. He played on that team with Kemba. You know, I remember watching that game against Arizona. I was at the game where they beat San Diego State. And I've always liked Shabazz Napier, but he's nowhere near the level Kemba Walker is. He's not that kind of player. And to even put him in the same category is just ridiculous. I think Charlotte should have kept him personally because I think he would have played well with Kemba. I think he would have been a nice fit in Charlotte. Although in Miami, you know, I mean, it all depends if Wade takes a pay cut. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on down there. And to even, you know, I don't think LeBron is sold in Miami yet. I don't, you know, if he was going to make a commitment to the Heat, I think he would have already done it at this point. We've seen this story too many times.
We have seen it too many times because I remember, you know, when
with
it
Dwight
was...
Howard even.
We have seen it with Dwight. And I remember LeBron specifically, though, you know, accepting his MVP trophy. I think it was against the Bulls in that series where LeBron shot left-handed, which was very weird if you go back and think about it. I thought the best time to bring out a folding chair, folding table, set it down at the center of the court, accept the trophy, and say, you know, we've done a lot of great things here. I'm re-signing my deal. I mean, I felt like that momentum would have been fantastic for the team that was still playing weird at the time. Right before LeBron left with all the stuff going on in their locker room and whatnot. But he didn't do it, and you kept telling yourself, well, that doesn't mean anything. Well, it doesn't mean anything that he didn't do it yet. Yes, it does. It means something that they didn't do it yet. Well, he's exercising his rights as a free agent. Yes, he is. And would you re-sign with Dwayne Wade? Would you re-sign with Chris Bosh when there's many other options out there?
Here's the thing. If the Cavaliers have some way to go out and acquire Kevin Love, without having to give up Andrew Wiggins, which I think they will have that possibility. I really do.
How do they do it?
I mean, I think it'll take up offering, like I said. I think it will package. Something would tell me it would be a package of these players involved. Somehow Jarrett Jack would be involved.
Tristan.
Dion Waiters would be involved. Tristan or Anthony Bennett. My guess would be Bennett. Bennett's potential is much higher than Thompson's.
Now you have to match this. You have to match the salary, right?
Well, yeah, but Bennett's got a $6 million salary.
Yeah.
Jack's got $5 million. That's 11. The Cavaliers can take it back anyways. And Waiters, I believe, is around $4.5 million. So you're already matching it up. You're getting there anyways. And then the Cavaliers have a lot of coveted picks. You know, Miami. Here's the thing: if Miami loses LeBron, that's a 1 to 10 protected pick. Minnesota most likely getting that pick next year, somewhere in that, you know, in that late lottery.
What happens if all the free agents tank? They just play D-leaguers and get the number 1 pick. What happens with the protected pick? It poof disappears.
It moves over to the next year to protected 1 to 8, and then the next year it's unprotected.
So either way, we get a first-round pick, but they would have 3 years to rebuild quick.
Yes.
Okay, so all right, yeah, I was a little unsure of that because I was really thinking like, man, if these dominoes lay right, LeBron just gave us another great pick next year if he signs with the Cavs. Of course, I'm a homer. I'm rooting for that, but I'm not holding my breath either.
And the thing is now, if you're LeBron and you're looking at a situation, like I said, there's no guarantee the Cavs are getting Kevin Love.
Oh, no.
But I'm saying if you're LeBron and you're looking at the situation, and let's just even say Miami does somehow get Kyle Lowry. Even on that Rick Bucher report that came out tonight was completely false. It made no sense to me anyways in the first place. It made zero sense to me. I didn't understand why Toronto would go and trade Kyle Lowry for Norris Cole and a couple of picks that are going to be really late picks. It made no sense.
Well, but they're trading because he's not going to re-sign. I think that's the deal, that he's not going to re-sign.
Just for that sign and trade, I wouldn't make that trade. I wouldn't want Norris Cole on my roster for that. I'd rather have the cap space.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's fair enough.
I'd rather have a trade exception than Norris Cole. And when looking at it, I'm seeing to myself, I'm like, what? I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I was looking at Bucher's story, and I was like, this doesn't. I said, literally, is Toronto the dumbest team in the NBA? I said, I can't see them. Turner's a really smart front office. I cannot see them making this type of move. This sounds idiotic. And I'm still thinking to myself, anyways, I go, okay, let's put this deal on the table anyways. And you put the comparisons now. Do you rather have Kyrie Irving or Kyle Lowry? I'm taking Irving.
Yeah, I'll take Kyrie.
Okay, next. Let's compare Wiggins and Wade. Maybe I'd rather have Wade for this season. Maybe. Okay? Next season, I can tell you in the season after that, it's going to keep going in the opposite direction.
As LeBron wants his minutes to go the opposite, to decrease, the young player, the young buck, as he gets more comfortable in the system, he's going to...
And then obviously LeBron would be the same on either team. Compare Chris Bosh to Kevin Love. I don't think there's a competition there either.
None.
I think Kevin Love's a far superior player. And then you look at the benches.
Although I'm thinking of the Chris Bosh from the past 4 years, not the Chris Bosh from Toronto. He hasn't really been used properly down in Miami. Obviously, they got two titles.
I think this season he was. I think he had a great season. I think he had the best season in Miami yet. But the thing was, he was not a vital piece on the championship team this year. I mean, he was gone in the finals. And this is the thing I think LeBron's going to weigh heavily on is saying to himself, Bosh didn't show up. If they have to go down and face San Antonio with or without Kyle Lowry and Shabazz Napier next year, they're going to get their asses kicked once again.
Because that was surprising to me that they got trounced. It wasn't even close.
I told you San Antonio would beat them. I didn't think San Antonio was going to beat them by 30 points every game.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of us saw that coming, really.
But what's stopping San Antonio from doing it another year from now? Kawhi Leonard's only getting better. Patty Mills still there for right now. San Antonio has flexibility to go move around.
So basically what you're saying is that if LeBron took a look at that, you go, well, man, the Cavs have got quite a bit going on here.
What's the one thing that stopped San Antonio, and what's the one thing that stopped San Antonio 2 years ago in the playoffs? A team that was young,
running,
and a team that had a lot of potential, and they can run the floor. And you saw that with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant, and Serge Ibaka. You saw that with four guys that could run and space the floor, and they just wore the Spurs out. The Spurs clobbered them the first two games of that series. And then you saw Oklahoma City change up their game plan. They went and just, they beat San Antonio, pretty badly those last four games. And it was because they were more athletic. So if you can put a team that's more athletic than San Antonio, and they're fast and can get down the court and defend, and a guy like Wiggins, you got LeBron in there, and you took Kevin Love who can space the floor, shoot the three. You've got a lot of ball movement on that offensive end, especially with a center like Varejao. I know he's a little undersized, but Varejao's a very good passer. And I think that really would help the Cavs. And don't forget, the Cavaliers would still have some kind of flexibility to go out there so you can spend the mid-level. They would still have some room to go and maneuver. And I think at that point, you're saying to yourself, okay, it's Cleveland. If he goes to Miami, I think he's making a huge mistake because I think their title window's closed. Unless they do some serious maneuvering, which I don't know if they will, their title window's over. And I said that at the beginning of this season. I thought last year was the last year of their title run, and I was right. I don't see them going back and winning a title this year. I truly believe San Antonio, with the way they're going right now, is going to come back and win another one.
They've gotten younger. With Kawhi, I mean, they are a different team right now. They used to be old in defense and slow. Now, I mean, you watch that team; it was just a surgical dismantling of.
Kawhi Leonard's only getting better too. I mean, the thing is, you're gonna. If it's me and I'm a superstar, I mean, I don't mean a superstar. If I'm a good player and I'm looking to win a ring at this point, do I go down to Miami and play with LeBron and those guys? Or am I going to San Antonio where no matter what, I'm going to fit into that system? I'm going to go play in San Antonio. Pop, arguably maybe the greatest coach. Let's put it this way. He's the greatest coach of this generation. It's him and Phil. And I'd take Pop any day over Phil. What he's been able to do.
Well,
Pop was
he's been unbelievable.
That team too.
Yeah.
Popovich was the general manager when they selected Tim Duncan. He wasn't the coach at that time. He was the GM, and then he made himself coach.
So he has the player personnel thing down on top of it. Because he's been a hell of a coach.
He knows what players fit his system.
Right. What do you think about David Blatt? What do you think his role is? Because I'm curious how he looked at, will this player fit my system? Because my understanding is he's bounced around so many teams. He works with whatever players he has and develops a system for them. But I'm not familiar with David Blatt as much.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with Blatt. Blatt makes anything work. And you're now starting to hear league executives saying the Cavs got a huge steal. They did. They did. They got a great coach. And like I said, in the
And
NBA,
they got him
at least
cheap, too. They got him cheap.
I'm sick of hearing people saying this is the one thing that drives me nuts. I hate when people say that. They go, well, we need a coach, a proven veteran who's won a championship. I go, look at Larry frickin' Brown. I go, Larry Brown won a championship in Detroit. Then the guy goes to New York, and look how badly he fails there, and then look how badly he fails at the Bobcats. I go, it doesn't make a difference in the NBA. Unless you're Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich, it doesn't matter. Or you're Pat Riley. It really doesn't matter. I go, there are coaches in the NBA who have gone out there and won championships, and they go somewhere else, and they can't win anything. I said, essentially it means nothing. I mean, there are some bad coaches out there. Vinny Del Negro, Byron Scott.
Yeah, you've not been a fan. Well, and Byron Scott, I didn't understand that at all. But no, I mean, let me. So obviously, it wouldn't be LeBron waiting to see if Kevin Love comes over. Everybody will talk and get everything squared away, and it's all going to happen at the same time. It's not like it's going to be, well, I'm going to do this and hope that happens. It's all part of the same plan. I mean, at what point? What's happening right now?
What happened?
Okay.
I mean, we can conceivably know a week from today what uniform LeBron will be in a week from now.
In theory, maybe we will.
I mean, it might take another couple of weeks, but we're going to know something soon. You know, that's what I'm getting at. We're going to know something very soon of what's going to happen.
Because the dominoes are going to start falling. Carmelo's going to make his choice. Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh have got to make their choice.
And the thing is, this is an even bigger mystery than 2010. At this point now, I mean, it was a huge mystery in 2010, but we pretty much knew Bosh was going to the Heat. That was pretty much a given at one point. You know, but the dominoes didn't fall until LeBron and Bosh made their decisions. Bosh made his first, then Wade made his first. Bosh joined him, and then LeBron made his decision the next day.
So where did that report about Kevin Love, like, who originates that? Where does that come from? Are they planting it to get the ball rolling?
I mean, don't forget, not all sources are necessarily reliable, but Chris Broussard, there's a reason Rick Bucher doesn't work at ESPN anymore.
All right.
You know, as much as Rick Bucher is trustworthy, I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, I believe everything the guy said. You know, like I said, I told you on the show before when reporters come up with information, I told you it's complete BS. I've said that. I don't know where they're getting the report. I can tell you it's complete BS. It doesn't make any sense. You know, if you just honestly take logic and reasoning into a decision, and that's what I'm saying, when you work with these guys, you're around them, you can just really just put logic and reasoning is your answer for something and why it's going to happen. I've done that many times where I said, okay, I can see this scenario playing out. If this happens, this is what's going to happen. It's what happens every time. You know, you're going to be right 90% of the time if you use your logic to guess what's going to happen next. It's not difficult to tell. A lot of these guys, a lot of these agents, a lot of the executives are very predictable in the NBA. You know their next move. It's like a chess match.
So what do we think the Timberwolves? What is the thing that the Timberwolves are going for now? Because we're trying to get inside their head for chess.
Okay, so here's what you're trying to do: get into Flip Saunders' head. Flip Saunders is saying right now he's making one last ditch effort, going, okay, maybe we can put on a 55-win team this year. You know, we lost 20-something games last year by 1 point or something. I mean, they lost a ridiculous amount of games within 1 or 2 points.
And I think
it was a weak record.
And they were a pretty good team, just they were in the West. They were an okay team.
The thing is, you turn that around, though, you could be a 52-win team, but if you're Kevin Love wants to win championships. I don't think he wants to be in Minnesota. I think he really wants to just play for a winner. I mean, that's what I got out of it.
And so does Kyrie. Kyrie does, too.
Yeah, and
everybody does. I mean, maybe Melo doesn't. Maybe some people just want money, whatever.
From the knowledge that I got about Kyrie this week in New York, was that he plans on signing the max extension with the Cavaliers next week. That was at least what I got out of it. And I could at least, from someone credible, and I can at least take that. But, I mean, like I said, I don't have it set in stone. I have nowhere where it says in writing personally. But from what I got out of it, it sounds very likely that he's going to sign a max extension. I think he's happy about Wiggins. I think he's very happy about David Blatt. And another thing is, too, is usually when a coach gets hired, you always have one player saying a bad word about a coach. This coach stuff. You've heard the exact opposite about David Blatt. Everything has just been positive. Best coach I've ever played for.
I'll tell you
You
what I
know,
thought.
something
You know what I thought was really weird, and I'll tell you this. I did a quick glance the other day at the YouTube views from both of our shows. One was Cavs hired David Blatt, and the other was 2014 NBA mock draft. And the one with David Blatt had like 6 times the amount of views as the mock draft. I'm like, man, maybe it's all these Euro. You know, I got to click the analytics for it. I haven't checked, but I mean, either people are curious about the Cavs or curious about, you know, David Blatt, or they really like this guy or something, because it really resonated. I was noticing.
I told you before they hired him, I thought they should hire him. They needed to go out there, try something unique that hasn't been done before. Yeah, you go out and get the Mike Browns, you go get a Brian Shaw, you go get a retread, or you get one of those guys who's a former player, you know, and just starting out to be a coach. You know, the Jason Kidds of the world, Derek Fishers. You need to go out there. You need to try something new. Obviously, nothing else has worked. Go out there. You have nothing to lose. And Blatt's won everywhere he's gone. He even took Russia to a bronze medal in the Olympics when they clearly don't have the third best talent in the NBA. You know, with those guys. So I mean, I really like the David Blatt hiring. I think it could go really well. And the Cavaliers don't owe him a lot of money. So if
it's a small deal, which I'm happy about. You saw the Calipari for $80 million, 10 years, and then David Blatt. It's like, hey, $8 million, 2 years, and we can.
Calipari was there to lure LeBron James.
I know
that was specifically what Dan Gilbert's plan was. What he said is, you know, the odds are Calipari would have accepted that deal. They wouldn't wind up getting LeBron James. It would have just been a huge disappointment.
Yeah, because then you're still coaching Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving and you know, some young talent, which wouldn't be horrible. But let me ask you a embarrassing question I don't know the answer to. I don't think it does, but does what you pay a coach count in any way toward any salary cap or any sort of financial provisions?
No.
In zero way. Like there's no
zero.
Okay.
Players only.
Have there ever been any deals made to pay a player less when they're playing, but to pay him like $20 million a year as a coach to get him on the backside?
Nope.
But there could be in the future.
The only time we've ever seen that happen in league history was with Isaiah Ryder, and Minnesota was penalized a bunch of draft picks, and you know, when they tried to pay Isaiah Ryder under the table.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that was what happened. They tried to play Isaiah Ryder under the table, pay him under the table, and they paid dearly for it. I mean, it's monitored closely what these guys do. It really is.
It's interesting. Well, okay, so let's get back to the draft then. The Bucks taking Jabari Parker. You know, in pregame, he did an interview and he was just saying, "I think I'm going to the Bucks." And people said he tanked the workout for the Cavs. He really didn't want to be here.
I don't believe he tanked the workout. I believe he just wouldn't have wanted. I believe he wouldn't have worked out for the Cavs if he didn't want to be there. I don't think he tanked it. I think he just sucked during the workout. That's my philosophy on it, and that's my 2 cents.
Oh, all right. Well, that's possible.
Why would anybody take a workout? Just not go. You know, you're not required to work out for your teams. He could have just said, I don't want to play there. He was basically straightforward. I don't think he wanted to play there. He wanted to play in Milwaukee. Wiggins wanted to be in Cleveland. And like I said, if it were me, I'd much rather play in Cleveland. You've got Kyrie Irving there. You've got Anthony. I think Wiggins is the perfect fit. He's played alongside Bennett and Thompson. He doesn't have all the pressure being in Cleveland. And like I said, there'd be absolutely no pressure in Milwaukee, though.
Did Wiggins want to play for the Cavs, or did he want to be the number 1 pick? Because he seems to be very competitive.
I think he wanted to play for the Cavs. I think Irving was a nice guy with him. He's friends with Anthony Bennett. I think it worked nicely. I think they have a really young, formidable roster for Wiggins. And don't forget, the Cavaliers, I'm not saying they're going to be scary good this year with their current roster constructed. I'm not saying that at all. But down the line, if these guys do progress, like they should, if Dion Waiters can keep maturing and become that 6th man now off the bench, Anthony Bennett has been working out, and he looks really, really good so far this offseason. If he's in shape and he can start putting up 16-9 next year, you know, or 14-9 even, let's say, because, I mean, he had some big games towards the end of last season.
True.
Before he got hurt again. And let's just say he's able to do that. The Cavaliers would have 3 very nice pieces to build around in Kyrie, Wiggins, and Bennett.
Add LeBron James and Kevin Love. Huh. Okay.
I'm not even throwing them in the equation right now because they're not on the current roster.
That is true.
If they are, next Friday's show could be completely different, even though it's July 4th. If he signs on July 4th, I'm sure we'll have a show.
Yeah, you know what?
I'll be out of town. We're doing my grandma's 80th birthday, you know, with the entire family in New York. So
Yeah, but big news is big
I don't know
news.
if I will be
We'll find a
exactly
way.
available, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, and there are pieces in Cleveland, and I totally get that. So Jabari's going where he wants to, which is in with the Bucks. The Sixers once again, they got the big guy, like we said, stashing him away. He's got to heal up and hopefully come back as Nerlens Noel, pull him off the shelf and see how that goes. Then we're down to the Magic, and
This is one of my favorite picks of the draft.
he's one of your favorite players in the draft.
I love Aaron Gordon. He's a freakish athlete. If he ever develops a jump shot, he's going to be a freaking superstar.
Lockdown defender, right? That's the best way.
Lockdown defender, the guy. I love his ball handling skills. I mean, he plays like I said, if he shoots, if he can develop like he played in the tournament, Orlando got themselves a freaking steal there.
Yeah, they're saying that Magic team is going to be really tough to defend.
I mean, the thing is,
really
they don't
tough
have
on
any-
defense.
The thing is, Orlando literally has no one that can shoot, though. No one.
Yeah, well, I meant to say they're going to be really good on defense to lock down opposing teams.
They're gonna have some games where they put up 65 points a game. 60 points a game. They're gonna have multiple ones this year.
I've seen that from the
Because
Cavs
they're
the past
young.
few years.
You've got Tobias Harris, really doesn't have a defined position, really can't shoot yet. Aaron Gordon's the same way. Now you've got Elfrid Payton. You got Victor Oladipo. But I like Orlando's core. I like what they have in place. I think they could make it work. Obviously, a couple trades are going to be necessary on that roster in order to fix it up. But I really like the young talent that that they've compiled in Orlando. I really, really am impressed.
What about the Jazz, picking at number 5?
I like Dante Eggs in there.
I have
do.
this feeling that this kid is going to be just a superstar. I just have this feeling.
He might be. I mean, he's a 6'6" guard. I mean, he can play the point, he can play the 2 or the 1. I think I like him at both. I don't really have a defined position for him, but you put him over there with what's his name, Derek Favors and Enes Kanter, and then let's say they do resign Gordon Hayward. They've got Alec Burks. That could be a really, really young, another exciting team to watch. They're going to be a fun league pass team next year. But between Favors, Exum, and Cantor and those guys, I think that Utah got themselves a really nice pick. I really love how the first 7 picks played out.
Well, let's talk about the Celtics. What did you love about the way they played out before we get into the Celtics?
Because I felt like
Lakers?
every team got what they needed and got a great fit. I mean, that was the thing. Now, the only thing I don't love about Philly is that Philly, again, I mean, you're already playing with Philly could wind up having 2 picks that turn out to be nothing. Now, in another way, is last year's draft, even if Noel turns out to be a nothing, it's not like Philly risked anything. They still got Michael Carter-Williams out of it with when they traded down last year, I think with the 11th pick. And it's not like, listen, before them, it's not like there were any great other talents other than Oladipo in that draft. I still think Bennett has high potential. Yeah, he was a colossal bust last year, but it's his rookie season. Give the guy a break. If he plays like that again, okay, I'm ready to write him off. I really am.
Well,
and
he didn't get any minutes last year either. Mike Brown wouldn't play him, so maybe
Mike Brown's also not good with rookies. That's the thing is, I think David Blatt will be a much more hands-on coach. I think you're going to see much more out of that team. With
so
David
part
Blatt.
of it is Anthony Bennett not getting minutes because he's not in condition, or is he not in condition because you're not letting him get out there and run and work into condition and figure out the game, even if he's getting exposed and looking foolish.
So let's see how that goes this year. But I like the Marcus Smart trade for Boston. I think that really puts the pressure on Rondo, and I think Danny Ainge has no problem dealing Rondo. You could see some move where Rondo winds up going to Houston in some sign and trade involving Chandler Parsons.
It almost seems like the writing's on the wall. Like there's been some sort of simmering discontent there with him.
And speaking of that with Chandler Parsons, I think he's the name. If the Cavaliers fail to land LeBron, he's the name I would go after if I were the Cavaliers. I think he's another great piece to add to the puzzle if the Cavaliers don't get LeBron. I think he'd be a great fallback option. Parsons could be a really vital piece on a nice young team moving forward.
And why would that happen? Why would they part with Parsons on?
Well, because Houston,
Melo.
Don't forget, he's a restricted free agent. Houston's not going to break the bank on him.
And so somebody could wow him and, he could bounce or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like Marcus Smart? how concerned
like
are you
Marcus
that he
Smart.
ran into the
He's
stands and stuff? Because that's a big character
he's
thing.
still a tenacious defender. I like the guy. He's big. I mean, people will describe him as a linebacker playing point guard. Is essentially what he is. He's big. He's physical. But the thing is, right now, is Boston's backcourt with him and Rondo, which I don't expect them both to be on the roster opening day. Neither one of them can shoot. But Marcus Smart's a facilitator. He's a good player. Like I said, don't forget, this is the guy who was a consensus guaranteed number 2 overall pick last year. At worst, this guy was guaranteed 2nd overall pick in last year's draft. May have even gone first.
Wait, this is last year?
Last year.
Because
there
was a thin draft.
There's a decent chance he would have gone number 1, and guarantee you he would not have slipped past Orlando last year, too. Guarantee that.
Where were the Cavs slated to pick this year again? Before
9.
winning the lottery? 9. So
they would have been on Noah
Vonleh
from Indiana.
And that's kind of a big upgrade from Vonleh to Wiggins, huh?
I would put it that way, yeah.
Man,
definitely a noticeable difference. And then over at 7, this is a pick I just love.
Tell me
Julius
why.
Randle getting that value at 7, because Randle is going to be a freak on the. He's just going to be a freak. It's at the numbers in his career. He's one of those guys you're going to watch him put up. You're going to see him there these 19 and 15 games, not necessarily his rookie season, but there's a good chance the guy averages a double-double. It finally allows you to move on from Pau Gasol.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with Gasol? You trade him now?
Gasol's a free agent.
Where's
He's
Gasol
an unrestricted
going?
free agent.
Where's he going?
I don't know. My guess would be as good as yours, but I thought it was going to be Memphis all along.
To play with
I'm
his
not
brother,
thinking Memphis
right?
so much anymore. He's another fallback option for the Cavaliers. Let's say you fail at LeBron and Love. They could always wind up with Parsons and Gasol in free agency. It's a strong possibility that could happen.
And then you mix in Wiggins, you mix in Kyrie Irving, and it's like, whoa, what a team!
Boom, and then that gives you a playoff rush right there. Now Gasol's not what he used to be, but Gasol's still a good player.
Yeah.
And in the right system, I think Gasol would be a really nice fit with that team.
Well, he's a Euro player being coached by David Blatt.
Right now you need to go forward from this point as if you're not getting LeBron.
Yeah,
Because I'm not saying you're not going to get LeBron, but don't set your hopes on LeBron and base all your decisions off LeBron like Chris Grant did for years. Because there's no guarantee it's happening. Now, like I said, in a week from now, we could be talking about this in a totally different light, or we could be talking about this in the same light. It's not that I'm being more pessimistic now than I was a week ago, or than I was 2 weeks ago. I'm just trying to hit all angles of the conversation. I think they all need to be discussed. So, that's why I'm bringing up every different angle.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that because I think it's funny. Like I thought David Blatt was the coach we were going to end up with. I mean, the Calipari thing was interesting for a minute, but it didn't pan out quickly.
And I told you the Calipari thing had been discussed 4 weeks earlier and made the news 4 weeks after it happened.
Which is interesting. But I felt like Blatt was going to be the coach, and I was going to be happy with it, and I am. I felt like Wiggins was going to be the pick, and I was going to be happy with it, and I am. And I think LeBron's coming back to Cleveland, and we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I mean, I hope you're right. I really do. But until then, like I said, I've been optimistic about it on the show before. But in no way am I guaranteeing LeBron coming back to Cleveland. As of a week ago, I thought the chances were much higher. I'm not saying they're any lower than they were, and it's not like I've soured on it a bit, but I just think there are other options for him available, and Miami's looking more likely than it was a week or two ago. I'm not saying Miami is still, that high favorite to land him. There are plenty of scenarios that could come out here, plenty. And I heard some outlandish rumor the other day. I'm not even going to say on the air. It's not going to be tweeted by anyone because, what I heard is just crazy. So, but it was from a very reliable source. That's all I can say. I think I told you yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I'm saying nothing until you do.
Take it to the bank, literally, and run with it if that happens. I'm hoping it doesn't. I really.
Well, but I can't take it to the bank unless it does, and if it does, then it's too late.
Yeah, but you'll know that I told you ahead of time before anybody else has had it.
But,
now I'm hoping the source is wrong. I really am, because I do not want to see this move play out. But when it gets down to it, I mean, there's so many underlying factors in order for this to happen.
Yeah.
And how secretive it's been so far, That's why it would just shock me if this happens. So let's just put it this way. It would involve LeBron going to the Lakers, but along with someone else, not a player, but involving another coach in this deal. That's all.
Because the Lakers still don't have a coach, by the way.
Yeah, it would involve LeBron and a coach
that you might have heard of.
Yes, but that's all I can go with this one. I'm not going any further with this.
I'll stop there too, but maybe a coach that you might recognize their name.
Yes, very likely. And I mean, everybody's heard of him. So
no, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when we were talking about what was it, Roy Hibbert in the Pacers and the rumors that were flying around there. And
yeah,
no, I got a little bit of heat. Like, no, tell me, what was it? And people send me messages. I'm like, man, look, I ain't saying nothing. I'm just saying I heard something, and oh man, that didn't sound good at all.
But I gave at least a little hint. So, but getting back to it, I think looking at everything, I think Julius Randle is a perfect fit though for the Lakers,
and that's good because they need some talent. They've had a really rough year. I'm sure they were hoping they could have drafted higher than this in this draft, but Randle will be a nice piece. We're thinking.
He was one of my favorite players going into this season at Kentucky. I love Julius Randle.
And when you're good in a good program, you're getting coached well, and you're kind of groomed for success. You're set up very nicely. There's a lot of things that can fall, whether it's injury or personal, but you have a great chance when you're coming out of, Kentucky, or you're coming out of Kansas, or you're coming out of UConn. It's better than coming out of, I don't want to insult the college here, but you get my point. So let's move to the Kings at number 8. What do you think about what they did?
This was the first pick. I like Nick Stauskas, but you could have had him a couple picks later. I feel like Sacramento was always going to suck. So, but I like Nick Stauskas. I think it's a move. You needed a guard who could shoot primarily. I do like Nick Stauskas. I think he's going to be a good NBA player. I really liked him at Michigan.
Yeah, because you did like him. I remember you talking about him in the mock draft. You liked him, but you're just saying they could have found a way to trade back a few, collect some more assets.
The talent level and the dip goes from 7 to 8 is just so significant. From Julius Randle and Nick Stauskas, I believe is just a significant jump. And that's what I'm getting at. And then you go over to Charlotte and Noah Vonleh. Charlotte got a steal. Charlotte did get a steal at number 9.
In what way?
I will say that. Just because Vonleh was one of those guys who could have gone as high as 4.
Yeah, because I heard pre-draft projections maybe up is,
I mean, like I said, that was a little shocking to me. Anybody who had him in the top 4 or 5 was shocking me. I couldn't understand why he was shooting up draft boards so much. It didn't make sense to me. I like the kid, but I also like the top 7 prospects a lot better than I like him.
Right.
He wasn't in that Aaron Gordon class. He wasn't in that Julius Randle class to me. He was in that third tier of class.
Yeah, because we did our. I'm trying to remember where we stopped our mock draft. You went several picks down, but then at some point you went, that's a different tier of players, and I'm gonna have to stop right there. And I said, all right, that's cool. I forget if we got down to that pick or not, but so we got a steal there, and then of course the Sixers with their second pick.
Yeah, and obviously I like what the Sixers did with Dario Saric there. I mean, Elfrid Payton, we already discussed this trade, so we were already there.
Yeah. What about the Nuggets? They go and draft somebody, and then they pull a talk about the details of that. Because that was kind
of... I love this trade. I think Chicago got the perfect fit in Doug McDermott. Absolutely love it.
In what way? Why is he
perfect? I thought it was a perfect fit when Denver drafted. I mean, then, knowing that trade was being worked out in Chicago, and I'm sitting there going... And there, and seeing this McBuckets, just going there and you're like, oh my God. Like, he is a perfect fit on Chicago. It's something, Chicago gets a cheap option. You get a cheap option in Doug McDermott. I mean, I absolutely love it. You get a guy finally on the Bulls who can shoot. So you get a guy who can shoot. I love the fit.
So it was really just kind of exactly what they could have hoped for, kind of the best. What did the Bulls give up to swap? Bulls were 16 and they moved it up to 11, right?
Yeah, in the 19th. Yeah. So 2 picks, and Chicago wanted to free up that cap space, anyways.
Running after
Chicago
Carmelo.
did not want to go in there signing 2 picks. So you wanted to go in there signing. You only wanted to go in there with one of your picks. You want to keep room open for Melo. You want to keep room open for just in case LeBron. More likely Melo though. You need to keep room open for one of those guys. And by drafting 2 first-round picks, it doesn't give you the flexibility you have. So now Dunleavy's also a tradable asset because you move him. He's not necessarily getting traded, but he's now a tradable asset. Teams will covet Mike Dunleavy in a trade. The guy only has 1 year left on his deal. So he will be coveted elsewhere, which is nice. It just gives Chicago room to explore deals.
Now,
I love Doug McDermott. He's not great defensively, but offensively, he's ready. He's one of those guys at 22. He was the guy I had my eye on last year. I thought Chicago was going to take him last year, and then he decided to stay in college. And you're sitting there going, "Oh, bummer."
We're never going to, the Bulls are saying, "Oh, we're never going to get him now," and then turns out next year it works out perfect. What do you know? Well, like you said, you said last year I would have never thought the Cavs would be in the position to draft Andrew Wiggins. I can't believe this just happened. I think you set that out on Twitter. I'm like, absolutely. I remember we've been talking about this for 3 years.
I spoke last year. I'll never forget saying on the show, I go, well, the Cavaliers landed the number 1 pick in the wrong draft. It's too bad they didn't land it a year later. They were a year too late and they were a year too early when they got Bennett. And I meant because they missed out on Anthony Davis and they were going to miss out on Andrew Wiggins. They got it. And the thing is, someone today was saying, too, they're like, well, LeBron didn't make the playoffs his first season in the league. I go, the Cavaliers were a 17-win team in LeBron's first season when he came in the league. He took them to 34, 35 wins.
Doubled.
I mean, he doubled their win total. And Andrew Wiggins is coming into a 33-win team that's going to be spending money in free agency either way. So if you don't line up with LeBron, you still have fallback options. There's Chandler Parsons. There's Trevor Ariza. There's Gordon Hayward. There's Pau Gasol. And I can tell you right now, Dan Gilbert's going to spend money this offseason.
Playoffs are bust.
As much as I do rip on Gilbert, as much as I do, he's willing to spend the money, unlike a lot of other owners.
Right.
Which I think will play big into this free agency. When you have an owner that's willing to spend and willing to take on the luxury tax, I think it plays a big part, especially if it gives David Griffin flexibility to go out there and make moves. This is the one spot where, if Dan Gilbert was the one who wanted Andrew Wiggins and the front office wanted Parker, I'm sitting there applauding Dan Gilbert for this one. I would much rather have Andrew Wiggins than Jabari Parker. It's like I was saying earlier. If it comes down to it, and you look at rookie seasons, Carmelo Anthony was a better scorer than LeBron his rookie season. He was. We watched LeBron have games where he put up 7 points a game in his rookie season. Carmelo was putting up double figures every game. But another thing, Carmelo wasn't defending like LeBron did.
No.
LeBron was a much more complete player. He just wasn't as good offensively. And in time, LeBron became the better offensive player. LeBron's a facilitator, not just a scorer.
Yeah, great court vision. I mean, I've known that about the kid for a long time.
That's the thing is LeBron makes his teammates look much better than they are. Carmelo doesn't necessarily do that.
Yeah, he makes himself look good, and sometimes the team chemistry suffers because
LeBron
of it.
makes himself look good, and he makes his teammates look even better. And LeBron can make guys like Boobie Gibson look like the next Scottie Pippen in the playoffs in his rookie season. He can do something like that, and that's
maybe B.J. Armstrong. Maybe B.J. Armstrong.
I mean, those were better than B.J. Armstrong ever put up in the playoffs. That's what I'm saying, though. Boobie Gibson was putting up 30 points a game in that Detroit series. I mean, everybody's sitting there going, this guy's the next superstar, and they landed in the second round. And, as soon as LeBron leaves, he's back down to that 6 to 8 points a game level where he's shooting below 40%.
Yeah, where's he at now? Is he even in the league? I don't even know.
No.
Jeez.
But that's the thing is LeBron gives his guys so many open looks.
Yeah, and he's always been able to do that.
Which is why if they do get LeBron, this Harris kid from Virginia is a perfect fit because he's such an athlete. He's such a good shooter. He's an unbelievable three-point shooter. Will get a lot of open looks. Could be a Jason Capono type. It doesn't mean he's going to put up 30 points a game. Doug McDermott's much more polished offensively than Josh Harris. But I'm thinking than Harris. But I'm saying, though, getting to it, though, McDermott's one of those guys where if McDermott puts up a 30-point game, it's not going to be a surprise in the NBA. He's going to put up multiple ones. Not in his rookie season necessarily, but in his career, he's going to have multiple 30-point games. And it's because he can create his own shot offensively. He's a very dynamic offensive player. He's not just a three-point shooter. He can create his own shot, and he can help set up the floor. That's why I really like Doug McDermott moving into the Bulls rotation. And I think you're going to see him getting a lot of minutes immediately in that lineup.
And a lot of shots. I wanted to ask you something as we... No, go ahead. Finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, are there rules on trading the pick? So if you trade 2 picks for 1 pick... so it's a 2-part question. number 1 through number 30 in the first round, are the dollars of guaranteed contract in years, are those predetermined in the NBA?
Yes, they are. That's why you see guys signing right away, within a couple of days.
How does that work? Or at least a ballpark I could kind of follow here.
The first pick is slated to make just over $6 million a year this year.
Okay.
So it's already, these are predetermined contracts for your deal. I mean, they're signing a couple-year deals, and then you have the option year, which the team picks up the options or they decline the option.
So it's a team option, not a player option at that point.
No, they're team options for the first 4 years.
And that's where Kyrie's at right now, is out of time. Okay, so then it goes from $6 million to $5.5 to $5 to $4.5 to $4 to $3.5. It just kind of scrolls down from there, and it's just kind of preordained. Yeah, I know the NFL had that so wrong when they were paying players as rookies. $70 million.
Why was Sam Bradford, a top 10 player in the NFL, being paid like it? He doesn't play like it. I mean, you should have to earn your contract in sports. That's what just made zero sense to me in the NFL. That's why a lot of teams for a while, at the beginning, high in the draft towards the end of that contract, teams didn't want to be paying guys rookies $10 million a year to go there and not do anything. You get 15. I mean, there's a reason why St. Louis is still sticking by Sam Bradford. Because they've paid him so much money, it's just ridiculous. So in the NBA, it's nice that you don't have to do that. I think that rookie scale, I'm very glad. That was my favorite part of Roger Goodell so far is limiting that rookie pay scale, because why should teams that suck be penalized and have to pay players a crap load of money?
Right, and on top of that, what I hated as a Browns fan, I hated watching nonstop where all of our players, the Gerard Warrens, go down the list of Courtney Brown. Nobody would sign on time. They'd all miss training camp, and then they come in and they're not ready for the season.
Players to improve, because when you're giving players $40 and $50 million signing bonuses, why are they striving to get better? I mean, it doesn't matter. They can already retire on one paycheck.
They can retire, absolutely. And the other point I'm making, though, is that they would hold out so long that they wouldn't do the OTAs. They wouldn't get in there in time. They're missing training camp. So when the season starts, guess who's not ready? That overpaid piece of crap. Just set a dollar amount. I'm so glad the NFL did that now, where it's pretty much standard how it's going to bounce, and the agents can't drag this out, and the players and the owners can't drag it out. Just get into camp and get good. I hated watching the Browns' talent. It seemed like it was like 5 years in a row we couldn't get anybody in to camp on time. And so,
and that's what happened now. It's changing,
and it hurts the players.
NFL.
Yeah,
it makes it much easier to trade down than it used to. Nobody wanted to trade up and get that top 3 pick unless it was a quarterback.
Right.
Now people want that. Sammy Watkins is highly affordable for teams to trade up, and that's why it makes teams so much higher. Makes picks so much more valuable at the top of the draft. So getting back to the NBA though, and all these guys, I look at it and I'm saying to myself, okay, I think a lot of these picks really went right for these teams. I think Philadelphia, like I said, is. Last year, I think they made no error in taking Nerlens Noel. There was no one else I think they could have had that would have been a better value at that pick at 6 than Noel. So I think they made the right move. Okay?
Because this year they're cashing it in, and they can afford to do it again because they're pulling out Masters equity.
Not necessarily. I mean, that's the thing is, if Embiid doesn't ever play and doesn't look good, you pass on Dante Exum, you pass on Julius Randle, you pass on Marcus Smart, you pass on a lot. You pass on Aaron Gordon. I mean, that's the thing is, looking at it, Philly passed on a lot of guys to get Joel Embiid. Was it worth the risk? Maybe. It could be completely worth the risk. But for the Cleveland, it wasn't worth the risk.
To
take a guy that could potentially not play, you needed to go in the stretch and hit a home run and make your superstar franchise player.
I could not stand the reports when we were starting to get high on Embiid. I with the back problem alone before the foot thing, I hated it. I said, I don't care if he's the next Olajuwon. He's injury prone. We cannot do it. I couldn't stand that. It was making my skin crawl. And seriously, him getting injured, I wish the man the best, and I hope he has a great career. But it took a weight off of my shoulders, going, oh, thank God we can just get Wiggins, just get the freak athlete, and get him some good coaching and some good surrounding cast, and let him develop into someone great. That made me really happy. And like I said, I wish him the best, but that had me. My skin was crawling, Zach. I was so nervous about that. Well, hey, let me do this. Where do we get to? We got to Elfrid Payton. We got to Doug McDermott. In all these trades, everything's weird with the Magic and Saric. What about the Timberwolves getting Zach LaVine?
I like Levine. I always did. I like him at UCLA. He's one of those guys that could be a huge home run.
And you've watched a lot of Zach Levine, right?
Oh, yeah. I've watched a lot of UCLA. Yeah. Believe me, a lot of UCLA. Being out in L.A., just getting that Pac-10 vibe. I've watched a lot of Pac-10 basketball. Pac-12 basketball. I'm sorry, Pac-12. For me, it still will always be the Pac-10. It's too weird calling it the Pac-12. But
yeah, let's go to Jacobs Field too.
But I've watched a lot of Pac-12 basketball, and I can tell you right now, but that's what I basically specialized in over these past 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Even 7 years now. I would give it to them as my freshman year at Arizona. Almost 8 years now, since 2006. So it is 8 years.
And what's Levine going to give you?
Levine's going to give you a kid who could be a dynamic scorer in the NBA. He could just be he's a dynamic athlete. He's not exactly as mature yet, but he came into the season, he had a great year. And a lot of these UCLA kids don't look great until they get into the pros. Kevin Love was a very good college player. Was he a superstar? No. Russell Westbrook. A lot of these guys get better. Darren Collison was a much better pro than he was a college player. So these UCLA kids tend to shine once they get on the national stage in the NBA. And Levine could be a home run. I don't know if there's anyone else that has a higher potential than Zach Levine at that point of the draft. So I think Minnesota made a nice pick there, too.
What about the Suns at 14?
Who'd they take? T.J. Warren?
Yeah.
I like the pick. I don't think there's anything totally special about it. If I were Phoenix, like I said, they were a 48-win team last year. I would have been packaging those picks and trying to move up, or I would have been packaging those picks and moving for established players.
Well, because you've said before you'd rather have $1 than 4 quarters, and you had the Suns with number 27, with 18, with 14.
Phoenix could have, if I were Phoenix, what I would have done, I would have moved those picks to Minnesota. I would attempt to be a Kevin Love. Imagine Bledsoe, Dragic, and Love. That's one of those teams. I don't think those picks would have been able to get Kevin Love personally. I think it would have taken a lot more than that.
Well, do you think the Wolves were actually expecting the Cavs to trade the number 1 pick for Kevin Love? And do you think anyone's going to trade for Love to rent him for a year without a contract extension?
If it meant LeBron in a Cavalier uniform because of it, the Cavaliers would have pulled the trigger on the deal. Guarantee you they would have. If LeBron was saying, "You've got my word," it's in the book,
for whatever,
at that point,
it's strong as oak.
Then the Cavaliers would have pulled the trigger on that deal. That's the only way I would have done it. And if I had assurance from LeBron, if I'm the Cavaliers and it's myself doing that, yeah, I would have done it. Because you're looking at LeBron and Love or Wiggins. Yeah, I'm going to take LeBron and Love any day. You got yourself a championship team right there next year.
But do you think anyone's going to rent Kevin Love for a year without getting an extension, like in a sign and trade?
Some team will wind up getting Kevin Love this year. There's no way, unless Flip Saunders is an idiot.
Flip would be a flippin' idiot.
Because he knows Love is walking at the end of the year. If you're telling me you're not going to take a package from Chicago of Nikola Mirotic and Jimmy Butler possibly included in the deal, with a bunch of picks, fine, go ahead. If you're telling me you're not going to take a deal from the Cavs that involves potentially 3 first-round picks, all that could be relatively in some decent range, along with Deion Waiters and Anthony Bennett, I would tell you you're crazy. Going and getting some kind of package that would involve Marcus Smart from Boston, once again, I would tell you you're crazy. A package of Marcus Smart and Jared Solinger, and maybe even Kelly Olynyk in a deal, I would say you have to be nuts not to accept that because otherwise you're not going to get anything back at the end of the year.
But you saw what the Lakers. No, I understand why the T-Wolves would do it, but would the teams getting them do the Dwight Howard, I'm going to rent you for a year of weirdness, and then you walk out the door anyway, and we lost our assets, and it's up to get you.
The reason L.A. made that trade was I don't think L.A. thought in their right mind that they would ever lose Dwight.
But that's what I'm saying. Like now, I would never rent a play. Look, if you're the Cleveland Indians and you're one bat away from winning a World Series, I'm switching sports here. If you're one bat away or if you're one pitcher away, you drop a couple prospects and go, it is title town now. This is the year. Maybe for a team on the verge, whether it's name a few teams that are really close and they think Kevin Love can get them over. Yeah, maybe they will mortgage a bunch on a one-year rental.
If you're a team like Houston, here's my point. If you're a team like Houston, I'm in Cleveland right now, and I'm in my mom's backyard at her house. We had my grandma's just her regular 80th birthday tonight, her celebration. And then next week we're doing the whole thing with the whole family. And I don't know, there's either an owl or a wolf in the backyard. I can't tell what it is, but I'm starting to get a little nervous.
So if you start screaming, we'll call 911 through.
Well, I'm not too nervous right now, but I think it's an owl. At first I thought it was a wolf, but now
what if it's a wolf with an owl?
Getting back to that.
Wait, no, hold on. What if it's a wolf on top with an owl sitting on top of it?
Well, then I'm taking a picture.
All right, yeah, definitely. Oh, but yeah, definitely tweet that out on your Twitter feed. Make sure you're following Zach. He's at Zbaris. That's Zbaris.
Sorry for the distraction. So if you do hear some weird noise in the background,
it's just your femur getting gnawed on by a random wolf that snuck out of the metro parks. Okay, gotcha.
So getting back to it.
Where the heck were we? Oh, renting Kevin Love for 1 year. Who would do it and why?
So if you're a team like Houston and you're going to give up Terrence Jones, you're going to give up a combo of Chandler Parsons, you're going to give up those guys. For Houston and Daryl Morey, every gamble this guy's taken, he's won. Why not? If I'm Daryl Morey, I'd do it because I think Houston has a legitimate chance with Love and Howard in their front court. Wow.
Yeah, pretty.
And James Harden.
Yeah, pretty imposing.
And there's still even a way they might even be able to maneuver a Rondo trade out of it. So, I mean, there would be some potential that they could go in there with Rondo, Harden, Love, and Howard. I mean, and like I said, I don't put anything past Daryl Morey. Nothing.
Let me bounce away from the Rockets for 1 second. I apologize for that, but this is a question that was on my mind. I forgot to ask you earlier. Your sources saying that it's looking very likely that Kyrie is going to sign the max extension. How is that going to impact if to get a Kevin Love and a LeBron James, they're both going to have to take a little bit less? But here you have Kyrie.
No, they don't. They do not have to take a little bit less. The way the Cavaliers can maneuver it, they won't have to take less.
Why did the Heat have to do it that way?
Those guys were all. Don't forget, Kyrie's still on his rookie max contract. That only pays $16 million a year. It's not paying over 20 like those guys who were past the rookie deals at that point. That's the difference.
Oh, okay.
The difference.
Now, what is the max for Kevin? When did Kevin Love come into the league? LeBron came in what year are we in now?
It's somewhere. I think it's 4 for 96 or something. It's somewhere around there.
Okay.
I don't even know if it's that high because I think he's on his second deal. I don't know exactly what it is. It's around 4 for 90, 4 for 80 something. It's somewhere around that.
All right. So Kyrie's on his, and that's capped at a certain point. So it's just.
I'm not a capologist, so I don't. I've never done the cap stuff.
Lord knows I'm not.
Now the thing is, if I actually sat in front of my computer and analyzed it, I could go over that in a couple seconds. But like I said, it's just not up. It's not my forte. It's not up my alley. I don't like to do that. I let the cap guys stick with it. I'll go and work trades out to go and make sure that they fit in the cap.
Wait a second. Where were you? No, I get that. But to go back now to Kevin Love, were we just talking about Kevin Love and the Timberwolves as a actual Timberwolf might be hunting you down in the backyard?
I'm not too worried about it. I'm pretty sure it's an owl. But,
who?
Like I said, the many times I've been over to my mom's house, I think I've seen a total of 2 owls, and I've never seen a wolf. So I'm going to go with the owl.
Okay, so I could get a team like Houston maybe rolling the dice. But, I mean, how many other teams would give up significant assets to go and rent a player? I mean, who else are we talking?
Like
just
I said,
teams to get over the hump?
LA doesn't have anything to give up other than Julius Randle. And would LA really be foolish enough when they could probably get Kevin Love at the end of the year anyways if he does hit free agency?
Because they just got burned on Dwight last year, or 2 years ago.
The thing is, LA was ready to take that gamble on Dwight because they gave up Andrew Bynum at that point, and Bynum was done. And, I think LA knew what they were giving up. But the thing is, I don't think they ever thought, no star ever left LA. I think they were expecting to go in there winning 65 to 70 games and going out there and winning a title with Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. I was one of those people who thought
I was one of those people. I'll raise my hand. I was suckered in by it. But, as a Cleveland fan, we've never lost a great player to free agency either. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
CC Sabathia, Cliff Lee, Albert Bell, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez. I know I'm jumping over sports here, but no, I totally get it. I'm just trying to figure out if anybody that's going to take on Kevin Love is going to want the sign and trade, and which is why it's so interesting that you heard what he.
He's not signing that extension. He'll commit. Here's the thing: is if the Cavs sign LeBron and then you're playing with Love on a 1-year deal, I wouldn't be worried about it. Kevin Love is going to re-sign with you. Kevin Love just wants to win.
Yeah, but I'd always be, after being burned by LeBron like that, I would have to be worried about it. I'd have to lock this stuff up.
Here's the thing. If I've got LeBron and Kyrie already, I wouldn't be worried about it one bit.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. I would not be worried. I don't think anybody would go openly leave LeBron and Kyrie like that. And let's just say, because let's say you don't give him one and Andrew Wiggins, I just don't think it would be possible. I don't think any player would be that stupid. Players want to win.
All right, players want to win, and I want to get through this first round here real quick. So T.J. Warren, you're saying he's okay?
I like Warren. I don't love him. I'm not a huge fan. I like Tyler Ennis. I like who the Suns took later. I like Tyler Ennis a lot, and that they didn't move the pick. I'm surprised they didn't move it to the Raptors. And I do like Tyler Ennis, but like I said, if I were Phoenix, I would have attempted to move up and taken the best player available. And I don't think they did that. I think they just took their 3 guys in the first round, and they went like this. Yeah, Phoenix could use a little bit of depth, but at the same time, you've got 2 players you can really build around right now in Bledsoe and Dragic. So, I just don't love what Phoenix did. I thought they had a lot of potential. I would have moved those picks, but it's still a possibility they do. But
you think okay? So play GM for a day. If you have 27, you have 18 and 14. How much further up could you get if you package 3 first rounders?
Maybe 9.
So you could have jumped up for Vonleh, maybe, which would have.
I don't think you would have gotten to the Lakers at 7, because I think maybe the Kings at 8. I think you could have done it maybe, and I think that Charlotte may have moved, but maybe at 10 Philly would have been the first team to move. So is it really worth it to get Dario Saric?
I expected Philly to do some stuff too. I'm kind of surprised they didn't either. But my question then, if the Suns had 3 picks and they trade it for 1 pick, what are the salary cap restrictions in a tiered system? Like, is it pick 14 is worth $2 million, pick 18 is worth 1.7, and pick 27 is worth 1? Add those all up. I forgot the numbers I said, so I can't do the math. But then would they have to get an equivalent cap number back in a trade with equal salaries?
No, not with that. No, not.
What restrictions are there on that? None?
They're just basically before the picks are made, there's none.
Okay.
So, but here's another thing too, and I want to say this because nothing frustrated me more than Bill Simmons last night. I didn't get a chance to say this earlier.
I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to. I'm going to gauge my words. I'm looking forward to my first interaction with him. Just hold on. I don't want to steal your thunder on this, and I won't. I'll just make a comparison. I had the opportunity at the height of the horrible whatever school shooting it was when Pierce Morgan was out there, this Brit over here in America decrying our Second Amendment and how we should all be disarmed like the idiots in England who put up with that. And I actually had the opportunity, the pleasure to speak with him to his face and tell him that I completely disagree with everything that he stands for regarding the Second Amendment. And it was so satisfying because I actually didn't dip down and say anything mean or nasty, but I exactly had the chance to say it. Bill Simmons, I'm looking forward to a similar conversation with him.
Before I say this about Bill Simmons, one of the reasons I don't like Bill Simmons, and this is why, he's taking just as much of cheap shots as 1. 2, and even Jay Billis told him to shut the hell up last night because he's acting like a retard. He really was. And excuse me, I don't mean to use that word in that term because I don't like that word, but he was acting like an idiot. And what he said last night was just, like I said, he's sitting there because Cleveland did not tip their hand on the pick. Cleveland knew who they were picking all day. I can tell you that right now. They knew who they were picking all day. They probably knew who they were picking a couple days before, too.
But they were probably listening to offers, too. They probably,
Sixers
were
also entertaining offers. And that deal that Philadelphia had on the table never existed. That involved 3-10 next year's first rounder, that and Thaddeus Young and and all these picks. It did not exist. It was non-existent. So, and David Griffin even reiterated that last night during the interview. So I'm going to sit here and tell you right now, last night, one of the reasons Bill Simmons was pissed was because Cleveland for 2 years in a row did not tip their hand on the pick.
Which is a pretty damn good job as a front office. Because even if you know who you're going to pick, like the Texans, I'm jumping sports now, they're going to take Jadeveon Clowney, and everybody knows, or whatever. There's probably some easier ones where they know who they're going to pick, and they even announce it, and it's already a known thing. It's a formality. I'm forgetting, because Clowney wasn't exactly accurate.
The fact that Bill Simmons is sitting there ripping on the 2010 Cavaliers. This is the guy who praised the 2010 Cavaliers, or 2009-2010 Cavaliers, when they lost to Boston. He was praising the Cavaliers. He said they were the most dangerous small ball team of all time. Go look at his past articles, and now he's sitting here saying the exact opposite. That's just what pissed me off. He's contradicting himself.
It reminds me of Tim McCarver. It reminds me of Tim McCarver always ripping on Cleveland, the mistake by the lake. All these playoff games that Tim McCarver would call with the Indians. That stuff annoyed me to no end as well. Just taking the cheap shots. And seriously, if Shaquille O'Neal doesn't break his finger, that Cavs team is rolling to the championship. Something changed. The whole chemistry went off. Anyway, we don't need to rewrite history on that. But yeah, Simmons, he's kind of annoying. He's really abrasive and cheap shots and a little whiny. He's kind of funny. A little bit.
Yeah, I just thought it got old to me. I really just wasn't. I wasn't having it. I was annoyed because I really think this is a guy who's a writer and should just stick to writing and shouldn't be on TV.
Yeah, well, I think they're starting to figure that one out. This is kind of a bit of a new experiment where he's kind of burst onto the scene, coming out from his keyboard.
He runs ESPN. That's why he runs their TV department, basically.
Well, there's always a choice moving forward, and they might reevaluate that. But all right, did you properly vent on Simmons? I kind of stole your thunder.
Like I said, I'm not going to go any further with this one, even though I could go a lot further. I'm going to stick to where I am now on this one.
That's fair. All right, after the Suns, the Hawks.
You want to just start naming the picks for me because I'm not in front of my computer. I went outside, so I didn't want to wake you.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the list prior to all the trades, so if I screw this up, Adrian Payne, Hawks.
It's another one of those. Is he going to make an instant impact? No, I think Atlanta really needed to make a splash, and like I said, I still think Atlanta might make a trade. I think they might go and move Horford. I think they need to. I think Atlanta needs to basically do what Milwaukee did.
Gut and restart.
Mm-hmm.
What about so 16 pick, that was the Bulls. How do you pronounce that? Nurkic?
He was traded. He was traded to Denver.
That was part of the deal. Celtics at 17. James Young.
I like I said, as Boston is just. I really don't know what Danny Ainge is trying to do in Boston. I really don't know what his I don't know what his motive is in Boston. I really couldn't tell you. I don't. I think a lot remains to be seen with Boston right now.
Yeah, it just seems like it's time to tank or shoot for the championship. Like the middle ground is.
I just don't understand what they do, and I didn't understand what Milwaukee was doing for years. I really didn't. You knew that. I said on your show, I said, what's the point of having Monte Ellis compared with Brandon Jennings? Those two are not going to win you a championship. They're 8 seed playoff material. Now look what you've got between last year's draft, this year's draft, and you've got two huge building blocks in Milwaukee. They still need a third and a fourth, but Milwaukee's really moved in the right direction. Milwaukee's going to suck this year, but still, now Milwaukee can go out there, get another high draft pick next year, and then go and start building in free agency and doing it the right way.
Who's the number one pick next year? Throw me a name.
Jahlil Okafor from Duke.
All right, we'll get back to that. Okay, so you're saying they get to play.
And right now, as long as everything plays out and he's healthy, he will be the guaranteed number one overall pick. It's not even close. He's the Anthony Davis of 2 years ago.
Oh.
Like I'm saying, though,
when are we going to get another Shaq or another LeBron? These players that come out, you're like, whoa.
I'm telling you, Jahlil Okafor will be the next best thing in the NBA. He's going to be the next superstar in the NBA. Like I said, this year I think delivered two guaranteed. I think you get one guaranteed super. I don't even say guaranteed. I think you land especially one very, very highly and I think very high potential superstar in Andrew Wiggins. I think you landed a multi-time All-Star in Jabari Parker, who could be another face to build around. I do think Wiggins will be the better player, and I've been saying that all along. I've said that all off season. I've said that. I haven't switched once.
And Embiid is a flip a coin. It could
like
be
I said,
a feast or
Embiid's
famine.
one of those guys. He could be a 7-5 guy his whole career and play 12 minutes a night. Embiid could also be that guy who plays 36 minutes and wins a championship. Embiid has superstar potential. I think Dante Exum has that potential too.
I'm telling you, I got a feeling about that kid.
The thing, if Aaron Gordon can develop a jump shot, you had a lot of potential stars in this draft. Now, looking on 2 years ago's draft, the one with Anthony Davis, here's what you got. You got Anthony Davis, who's going to be a superstar. The guy will win an MVP within the next 2 years.
Whoa.
I would take him over Kevin Love right now. There aren't many players I would take over Anthony Davis. I think it's LeBron right now, and I really probably couldn't give you 3 other players I would rather have over than Anthony Davis. That's how much I like Anthony Davis. He is that good. And I've been so high on him since he was in college, too. Since before the draft, way before it.
Yeah, you have been. You've talked about, absolutely.
So, and like you said, I'm sticking to my guns on that one, but look at a guy like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist with that high potential. Really gone nowhere. I'm trying to think who's the number 3 pick in that draft. Bradley Beal has been very good. He's not a superstar, but Bradley Beal could be he will be an all-star someday is my guess. Deion Waiters, the jury's still out on him. I don't want to write him off as a bust. I'm not going to. But like I said, I tend to think is when he gets out of Cleveland is when he'll reach his potential, when he's not along Irving and not along Wiggins. So, but and then you look at guys like Thomas Robinson, who was a bust. He was a bust. That was one pick I was completely wrong on. I thought Thomas Robinson was going to be the Rookie of the Year. I thought it would be him or Davis, and I thought that Thomas Robinson would be the stud of that draft. I really did. I thought he was the most NBA-ready player. It still shocks me to say how Thomas Robinson hasn't made an impact on an NBA roster, whether it was Sacramento, Houston, or Portland.
It's insane that many teams
don't get it. But he's one of those guys someday, if he goes to the right team, Robinson could make an impact. And then looking at, I believe there were 3 more picks in that draft. Like Harrison Barnes really hasn't done much, but Andre Drummond has been another steal in that draft. That was the draft 2 years ago, before we went into that draft. We said that was a draft that could change the landscape of the NBA. Then after watching that college season, you said, okay, there's one player in this draft that's going to change the landscape of the NBA, and it's Anthony Davis. That's it. You're getting 1 star out of it, and that's it. And you're getting a couple potential all-stars. It wasn't that draft that was going to produce 8 all-stars, like we originally thought heading into the season. This is the one that after the season, you're looking and going, okay, this one could potentially produce 9 potential all-stars. Seriously, when I say 9 potentials, maybe even more. But I'm saying roughly it could produce about 9 potential all-stars in this draft.
Man, it's just weird how that discrepancy, over years, how important it is to get the right year that you're drafting high. I don't know. I kind of think it's fascinating. Let me bounce past the Celtics. We talked about Tyler Ennis over at the Suns. You like him. He's okay, right? That was the synopsis there.
What did you say?
And that was your synopsis on Tyler Ennis over at the Suns?
Yeah, I do like Tyler Ennis. I think he could be a very valuable player in this league. But like I said, I think Phoenix still might wind up moving him. Right now he's a backup to Dragic. So I think they could wind up moving him.
Well, Dragic has a few years on.
I think they did get good value. Was he selected at 20?
That's 18.
18, okay. But I think he's good value for 18 because he could have gone as high as 12.
Oh, that big of a... Okay.
Yeah, Ennis could have gone as high as 12. I think the Suns got good value there.
Yeah, because they got T.J. Warren at 14, and then they waited, almost like the Browns when they waited for Johnny Manziel to jump back up and get him at, 22 or something. Wait for him to fall. What about Gary Harris, drafted by the Bulls and then obviously traded?
Gary Harris is another one of those guys that could have easily gone top 10, top 11. I like Gary Harris a lot. I think he's going to be a good pro. I do like Gary Harris.
What about Bruno to the Raptors?
Yeah, right. I'm not gonna sit here and even say anything about it. I think it was probably the worst pick in the first round, so I'm just gonna stick with that.
Okay, I like that. Nice, short and sweet. Your Twitter synopsis of each pick. Probably the worst pick in the first round. Thunder, Mitch McGary. That's a name we know. Going to
Here's
OKC.
The pick. It's either a hate it or love it pick, and this is why. Last year, the guy was a surefire lottery pick had he come out. He would have probably gone as high as number 10 or 11 to Portland, wherever they drafted last year. He was one of those guys. I love what McGary did a year ago.
And then his game did not progress this year.
He didn't play. He didn't play this year.
So he didn't get anything. It didn't go anywhere.
No. He had the back injury all season. Then he had the marijuana thing, so he wasn't coming back. But I don't think the weed thing's anything to worry about.
I don't worry about the weed thing. I worry about the back thing with 6'10" big guys.
I worry much more about the back than that he's 6'10". But if McGary's healthy, it could be another steal for the Thunder with Sam Presti late in the draft. I really do like McGary. And like I said, if he's able to play, it worries me some because he's still in limited activities. He hasn't in full activity. I don't think he's playing, 2, 3 on threes yet or anything, 1-on-1.
Still? Okay.
which it keeps his activity limited. Will he be ready for the season? I don't know. But he's one of those players that could be a really nice fit down the road. And I do like the move. He is a very good player. I do like Mitch McGarry a lot. I liked him a lot last year when he actually played. And he was brilliant last year in the tournament. So just remember that. McGarry could be a really nice steal there at 21.
And to go to a team that good, obviously, Thunder at 21, made a little bit of a nice playoff run. Go into a team with some great players, including the MVP, Kevin Durant. What about the Grizzlies, Jordan Adams?
I like Jordan Adams again. I love UCLA. I like what they've been able to do. I do like Jordan Adams a lot.
Jazz, Rodney Hood.
From Duke, I like Rodney. I do like Rodney Hood. I'm not in love with Rodney Hood, but again, that was a nice value pick.
Because he could have gone a little higher.
Yeah, I think he could have gone as high as 15, 16, but I think Utah made out very nicely in that draft, getting Hood and Exum. I do like Rodney Hood. I do like what he can do. The guy can score. He's not going to give you a ton at the defensive end right now, and his rebounding was pretty low last year. I was kind of surprised because he used to be a good rebounder, and last year was just, his rebounding really took a hit. So I wonder where that came into play, but, we'll see.
And, of course, this brings us up to the Shabazz Napier pick. I've heard a lot of people saying, about this. Charlotte, why are you helping the Heat? Why are you doing that? Get LeBron out of the
Shabazz
East.
Napier, Shabazz will be the best Shabazz in the NBA, and I'm taking a shot at Shabazz Mohammed. So.
Yeah, well, that ball hog, he got a lot of hype, and he kind of fizzled. I don't know how else to describe that. The best Shabazz in the NBA until next year. Okay, so he'll be the best, but I mean, I guess we covered this trade. What did the Hornets get for that? I'm trying to.
They got whoever Miami picked 2 picks later.
P.J. Harrison.
Which I'm trying to think. P.J. Harrison. I do like Harrison. I thought Napier was a much better fit in Charlotte than P.J. Harrison, though. I really do like Shabazz Napier and that fit with Kemba Walker, and I was really disappointed to see that trade to Miami. I really was, just because why do teams keep feeding the Heat what they want? I just don't get it. And another thing is, too, it's not like they were blown away. They got a couple second-round picks extra in the package. I just don't get it. So, but looking at it, I really, really would have liked to see that combination in Charlotte. I think Shabazz would have been a really good fit with Kemba. So that's just what's so disappointing. It's not even the fact that they went to Miami. I think it was the fact that I really just want to see those two together in Charlotte. I think it would have been really cool.
Well, for me knowing that LeBron, liked him as the best point guard in the draft, as we said, I hate this move because it's just another extra thing to consider that Pat Riley will get things done and Danny Ferry never could and Dan Gilbert's full of hot air.
If the 24th pick in the draft is enough for LeBron it's enough to entice him to stay in Miami, it wasn't going to take much. Let's just put it that way. If that's all it takes, then it wasn't going to take much in the first place.
Well, like I said before, I think he's coming back. His kid's enrolled in school there. His wife sends out that tweet, "Home sweet home." It's real. LeBron, what was that thing with LeBron out with Johnny Manziel at like a camp or something? And he said, "I promise." #I promise. Did you catch that one? By chance?
I haven't seen it. I don't follow LeBron on Twitter.
Yeah, no, I don't either. But it scrolled up on ESPN, and I clicked on it one day. Anyway, let's go to the Rockets. Clint Capella.
Again, he's one of those guys. I don't think he's going to play right away. I think he's one of those guys that's stashed away for Houston, so not much to write home about.
What do you say? Bogdan Bogdanovic?
Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Bogdan Bogdanovic.
I love these names, these Eastern European names, after watching a show like The Americans on FX. I just have to say that's my favorite show, and I was really happy just because this weekend I happened to see the majority of the cast out all around New York City, just walking around all week, so all in different spots. But during the show, all the Russians during the show, they always say both names first, and it just always gets to me. So whenever I hear a Russian name, I always say the full name. So even when I see a Russian that I work with, I refer to them by their full name, not just their first name anymore. So when I hear that name, all I want to do is say, Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Bogdan Bogdanovic. So what are they getting out of him?
I don't know anything about him. I can't even speculate on this pick. I know nothing about him. These Euro stash guys, I can tell you right now, I've never done any bit of Euro scouting in my life. I don't know anything about the European game because I don't want to know about the European game. Once these guys come to the NBA, completely different
story. But then how do you like
David
Blatt? How do you like David Blatt then?
Blatt's a good coach. Blatt's also coached certain NBA players too.
Who has he coached?
He's coached Anthony Parker. He's coached other ones too. He's coached other guys that have been in the NBA. But let me get to this though about David Blatt.
Yeah.
Blatt's won anywhere he's gone. That's another thing about him. He's a coach. The one thing why it's very, very tough to judge European players is, and I will say this right now, you don't see any Europeans going out there playing 36 minutes a night in Europe. There are all these young kids that are playing 14, 18 minutes a night, and it's too hard to get a read on them.
Okay. You don't get crunch time as much. You don't get endurance.
Yeah, and the success rate of these Euro kids is very, very low. You know, for how many are drafted? Look at that draft 3 years ago when Kyrie Irving was drafted, and please tell me how many of them have actually made an impact other than Jonas Valanciunas.
Which busts are...
Can you pull up the 2011 NBA draft for me?
I could. Yes.
If you're near a computer, if you don't mind, just so we can go and review the Euro guys. Because I'm saying there was 20 Euro guys selected in the first round of that draft. Almost 20. And Kyrie Irving does not count, and neither does Tristan Thompson.
Okay. Round one.
If you want to just...
here we go. Kyrie Irving, guard Duke.
15 minutes could save you.
Gone, stupid
of my
auto.
car insurance.
Shut up, Geico. You did not pay me to get that advertisement on this show. Derek Williams went to the Timberwolves.
Okay, no.
Yeah, that's your Arizona boy. You ready to throw in the towel? It's only been 4 years.
No, I'm just saying no. I'm just talking about the Euro players.
Enes Kanter.
Kanter's been one. He's been all right. He hasn't been great. I mean, he's been all right.
Tristan to the Cavs.
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas to the Raptors.
He's been a hit so far with Toronto. He really looked good in the playoffs this year.
Is it Jan or John Vesey? Vesely?
Yeah. Jan Vesely.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter. People pronounce it differently, but he's been a colossal bust for being the 6th overall pick.
Wow, I forgot about this one. Bismack Biyombo.
He's been pretty bad, too.
Brandon Knight. Kemba Walker. Jimmer Fredette. Klay Thompson. There you go. Number 11. If you could redo this draft, he'd be a lot higher. What, like number...
He would be number 2.
2, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Valanciunas could be 2. Well, actually, I take that back. Number 2 would be Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, I didn't get down there yet. Okay. Alec Burks.
Burks was not a bad player. He's not great, but there's more Euro guys coming in.
Markieff Morris.
He's been all right. Nothing special.
Marcus Morris.
All right. Nothing special.
Kawhi Leonard. Oh, the Pacers traded to the Spurs.
For George Hill.
Yeah, that's number
So
15.
I would say there are 4 studs drafted in this draft. And when you look at it right now, at this point, you've got Kyrie Irving, you've got Klay Thompson, you've got Kemba Walker, you've got Kawhi Leonard and Jonas Valanciunas. So this draft, which was supposed to be one of the worst drafts forever, up until last year, has 5 players with very, very high impact.
And it took a few years to get there. It took a few years to reach that potential. And even Kyrie, it seems like he's kind of peaked. You know, it kind of seems like, where's his upside?
He's still improving. But I'm saying that you have 5 guys over there in the top 15 already that could be all-stars someday. That's what I'm saying is Kawhi Leonard will be a future all-star. Klay Thompson will most likely be a future all-star. Kemba Walker. Was Kemba an all-star this year?
Oh,
He may have been. I'm just saying, though, Kemba Walker will be an all-star. You know, if he was, I think he was an all-star last year. I think he was on the all-star team. But like I said, this draft will wind up, and Valanciunas will probably he might be an all-star, and it's no guarantee. But like I said, he's a very good player. So you've gotten 5 players so far that already have long-term potential. If you don't mind going down the list until 30.
Yeah. Nikola Vucevic.
Vucevic, well, he wasn't a Eurostat. He played at UFC, and he's been a stud. He's been a stud for Orlando. He's put up huge numbers. So that's a 6 player so far. 6 through 16, which was supposed to be a terrible draft. Vucevic's been great for Orlando. And he was involved in that Dwight Howard, Andrew Bynum deal.
Iman Shumpert.
I've never been a Shumpert fan. Some people love him. I'm not one of them.
Chris Singleton.
Again, really hasn't done anything.
Tobias Harris.
I like Tobias. He's a freak. He's an athletic freak. So he's one of those guys in Orlando that's coming along. And, they, in Orlando, all they did was J.J. Redick to get him. It was leaving anyways in free agency from Milwaukee.
Donatas Montejounas.
Donatas Montejounas?
Yeah.
I mean, really hasn't done much.
Nolan Smith, Kenneth Faried, Nikola
Fareed was another great pick.
22 to the Nuggets. Nikola Mirotic.
He's one of those guys, a Eurostash guy for the Bulls that could wind up being huge. Huge.
Okay, he's with the Bulls. I'm looking at drafted by the Rockets, traded the Timberwolves, now he's on the Bulls. Okay.
Could be huge.
Is he ever? What happens with Eurostash? Why don't they just get their ass over here and play a real game?
He will probably be over this year. The fact is, some of these Eurostash players you don't want to take on the contract, or what you're looking to do is get a guy who you could stash over for a couple of years. Because usually at 22, 23, you're not getting a high-impact guy. That's the thing. But when you get a Eurostash guy who's young, and you can let him sit for 3 to 4 years, okay, we're getting a guy who could be the next Dirk Nowitzki. And that's what you're looking with Mirotic right there.
We got Reggie Jackson at 24. He's
actually been very good. That was a nice pick by the Thunder.
Yeah. Marshawn Brooks, Celtics at 25.
I thought he would make much more of an impact than he has. I really don't know if he's gotten a shot or not, but I do like Marshawn.
Jordan Hamilton, T-Wolves, 26.
Not a huge Jordan. I mean, he hasn't done much. He's been okay.
Jawan Johnson, Nets, 27.
Nothing.
Norris Cole, traded to the Heat from the Bulls at 28.
The guy's been in the championship 3 straight years, and he's won 2 rings. So I think that was a great value pick by Miami.
Yeah, out of Cleveland State. Corey Joseph to the Spurs.
Another. That was a decent pick. He hasn't been bad.
Jimmy Butler, number 30.
Another fantastic pick by the Bulls.
Ah.
The guy was a second-team All-NBA defensively. So, I mean, Butler. I mean, I think Chicago comes out as real winners of that draft. San Antonio does. But if you look at that draft, I mean, those Euros who were drafted that high, other than Valanciunas, really haven't done much. That's what I'm saying. You know, and guys like Vesely, when you could have had a guy like Kemba Walker. You know, one who was guaranteed. And Vesely, I never understood the hype with Jan Vesely either. I never saw it with him. I just never did.
Well, now that we've redone that draft, we're just about wrapping this up here. Clint Capella, PJ Hairston, that was part of that trade so that he could get Shabazz.
Turns out the 2011 draft wasn't too bad at all.
Yeah, I know. As I'm going through this, like, holy crap. Especially when Kawhi Leonard and Klay Thompson are that far down, you go, well, then.
Looking back at that draft, it was pretty impressive. Looking back on it, it was not one of the worst drafts in recent memory.
What was the worst draft you could recall? What are we talking? 20
last year.
Well, okay, that's so fresh. We're obviously going to know that.
The one where Olav and Candy was the first pick, or Kenyon Martin. I don't know. There were some really bad drafts back in the mid 2000s before LeBron came in the early 2000s. Like really bad.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this one plays out. Just a couple names. Okay, yeah, Bogdan Bogdanovic, your favorite guy Yes, your favorite player from the Americans. Let's see, Clippers. I could see him playing in his jumpsuit, like in his
Adidas tracksuit.
Yeah, the Adidas tracksuit with the. You know, I actually put one of those on very recently.
Well, I was in Philly. I was in Philly the other day before I went to New York, and I'm driving down to Pat's to go get a cheesesteak. And on the freeway, I pass the museum, you know, where Rocky ran the steps.
All right.
And I wanted to go get a sweatsuit. You know, the gray sweatpants. You know,
I wonder how many people do that a year if they have like a camera with a count.
I heard there's tons. Well, I wanted to do that, and then I wanted to get, you know, and then I wanted to go over to Pat's and wear the, you know, the red Adidas tracksuit. You know, like the Russian was doing in Rocky IV.
I threw this thing on. I have a couple Life jerseys, little like light jackets that I always wear over top of other shirts, and I had no undershirt on and just chest hair, and I got the comment real quick, like, wow, look at you, and I turned, I looked in the mirror, I went, whoa. Okay, yeah, I probably should not be doing that.
I think that might be my next Halloween costume. So I mean, I think I might do that. So
forget about it. Forget about it. All right, last three. Clippers 28. C.J. Wilcox.
Again, there was one. I mean, I like the pick, but I don't know how much. I don't think he's going to see the floor this year, personally.
Thunder Josh Huestis.
Another one who's not going to see the floor this year.
And finally, your UCLA guy, Popovich.
I love this pick.
I know, a lot of people did. Kyle Anderson.
I love Kyle Anderson. I just don't get why he fell. I don't get it. He's a 6'9" guard who can rebound the basketball. I mean,
well, they have him listed as a power forward on here.
he can play the guard. The guy can handle the ball. He was a guard at UCLA.
And going to Pop, I mean, look what he did with Kawhi Leonard as a late pick.
I'm telling you, you're going to look back on this draft, and I look back on it anyways, and I remember saying, this is at pick 20 last night. I go, yeah, it sounds about right. The Spurs are going to wind up with Kyle Anderson. like I knew they were going to wind up with Kyle Anderson, and it's only fitting that the Spurs once again get a steal at 30 because everything they do just turns out to work for them. And Anderson's one of those, he might not be ready right away, but give him 2 or 3 years. Kyle Anderson could potentially be an all-star in this league. I'm not saying he will be, but, I mean, with his size and his athleticism.
And he's going to get coached up the right way, too.
Here's the deal. Is Kyle Anderson, he's not fast. He doesn't move fast with the basketball, and that's his issue. He's not quick with the basketball. But it being 6'9", and being able to handle the basketball.
I mean, would you say Duncan is quick? I mean, he's okay. Maybe he's
no, not necessarily. But it's not like Kyle Anderson has established post moves, though. That's what I'm getting. Tim Duncan's one of the best post players in league history. Kyle Anderson is not. But if Kyle Anderson can figure out a way to mesh with that team, he's going to be an absolute stud in the NBA.
Well, we're gonna find out. UCLA has cranked a few of them out in the past. Anybody in round 2? That sounded good. Cleanthony Early was a name that we were familiar with.
I like Cleanthony Early. I think another one to watch out for is Glenn Robinson III.
Yeah, T-Wolves again.
But he's disappointed me so much. I mean, don't forget, this is a guy last year who was a lottery pick. He was a lottery pick last year if he would have went to the draft. I thought it was foolish not to go. He went this year to prove himself, and he did everything but that.
What was his biggest problem this year?
He just doesn't show up. I mean, he's invisible. I mean, when I watched him every game, I'm like, how is this kid? I was like, what did people see in him last year? How was he a lottery pick? I said, I never saw what people saw in him. I've never really seen that. I saw that in Tim Hardaway. I've seen that in those other Michigan guys. Those other Michigan guys you knew were going to be good NBA players. And when it came down to Glenn Robinson, it's just I kept questioning his abilities every time I saw the kid play. So, it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there with him. So there are another couple picks in the second round that I like. I'm trying to think who they were. If you don't mind meaning or like the first 8 or 9 picks of the second round.
Yeah, as long as the Wolves don't get to you first, I can definitely give that a shot.
Don't worry, I haven't even heard the Owls/Wolves in a while now. So.
I can see you running in your tracksuit away from a wolf that has an owl on top of it. Yeah, this is getting a
not
little
every
bizarre.
day I'm stuck in the suburbs. So.
All right, yeah, I'll go through them. Damian Inglis, Bucks.
Keep going.
KJ McDaniels, Sixers.
Keep going.
Joe Harris,
keep
Cavaliers.
going all the way till 8 until I hear a name.
All right, Joe Harris, Cleanthony Early. Jarnell.
I like Cleanthony Early.
Okay, Jarnell Stokes. Johnny O'Brien. DeAndre Daniels. Spencer Dinwiddie. I love that name.
Dinwiddie's a guy I loved at Colorado. He's an LA kid. I've watched him since high school. He was a kid from, I believe it was Sherman Oaks. He was one of those kids I just really liked. If it wasn't for the injury, I think he would have been a first-round pick a year ago. I really do. I do like Dinwiddie a lot.
And his mustache is funny, and the kid seems funny. Woodland Hills.
Yeah, well, okay, so he is from the Valley.
Yeah.
I think he went to school in Sherman Oaks.
Might have.
Or Van Nuys, if I'm not mistaken. Van Nuys or Sherman Oaks.
Van Nuys. Sorry, I said Van
Nuys. Or as
Borat.
my GPS used to change it. Not my GPS, as when I would put in, it was my spell check one in my phone where I was remembering if I parked my car at the Van Nuys Flyaway shuttle. Because if I was flying out of Burbank or wherever, it used to change to Van Nuts. So I always call Van Nuys Van Nuts.
Van Nuts.
If you type in Van Nuys on the iPhone, it'll change to Van Nuts. So.
Well then. Okay, Van Nuts. No, Spencer Dinwiddie, he seems interesting. With the injury, yeah, he would have been a lot higher last year. I don't like him going to the Pistons because, we'll have to face him, and he might be okay.
I'm not too worried about facing Spencer Dinwiddie. He's not the next Dwayne Wade. So.
Well, okay, maybe not D-Wade, but Jeremy Grant, Glenn Robinson III, Nikola Jokic.
Glenn Robinson III is one of those guys, like I said, we just spoke on that. So.
Yeah. Nikola Jokic, Nick Johnson, Walter Tavares.
Nick Johnson is another guy I loved by Houston. I love that pick, and I'm not saying that because of Arizona. The kid's tough. His uncle was Dennis Johnson, 5-time All-Star. I really, really like Nick Johnson a lot.
Not because it's Arizona. Come on, you homer.
He's a little undersized, but I'm telling you, he's one of those guys who can make an impact in the NBA. He really can.
Yeah,
I like Nick Johnson.
A lot of these guys, when they come from good pedigree, and that's the thing with Andrew Wiggins. His dad taught him how to play defense a lot, and he used to bang him around and rough him up. It's a lot of coaching.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying Nick Johnson's going to be a stud in the NBA, but don't be surprised if you see him putting up some numbers in the NBA and getting a true shot, because Sean Miller's system allows that for these guys. They are tough kids.
Walter Tavares, Markel Brown, Dwight Powell, Jordan Clarkson, Russ Smith, Lamar Patterson, Cameron Bairstow, Alec Brown, Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
You know it's Giannis's brother from Milwaukee. Did he get selected by Milwaukee, by the way?
The Knicks. At least picked by the. It's not showing what trades went through, so it's.
Giannis went. Like I said, I wrote him off a year ago because I didn't know anything about him, and boy, that was stupid of me, because he looked like the best player in last year's draft class.
Oh, check you out. Best player in last year's draft. Oh, Antetokounmpo.
It wasn't that I wrote him off. I knew nothing about him.
Yeah, and like you said, Euro, and you admitted at the time, and you admitted it today. You just don't pay attention to the Euro.
I don't pay attention to the Euros because it's nothing I've ever had to be concerned with in my life. I haven't been to Europe to watch basketball.
Right.
Have I seen film? Yeah, but I haven't gone to specifically watch Euroball. And like I said, I've had an opportunity to do that. I didn't want to do that. It wasn't something I've ever wanted to do.
Vasily Mikic, Alessandro Gentile.
Keep going.
Nemanja Dagbubic.
So we're getting to the names. You can't pronounce any of them.
Simaj Kristen, Roy Devon Marble, Louis Labieri, Jordan McRae, Xavier Thames, and Corey Jefferson. Whew, jeez.
I mean, there were some big names that went undrafted. A year ago we were talking about LaQuinton Ross as a potential lottery pick, and without Deshaun Thomas there, he really just struggled this year. He did not have a great year.
Does he have a chance anywhere, do you think?
Yeah, I think he does. I think it's very tough for an undrafted free agent to make an immediate impact in the NBA. I think he's going to really have to prove himself in the D-League first.
And what about Aaron Kraft? Same thing.
Aaron Kraft is never going to make an NBA impact. I'm sorry. LaQuinton Ross is a much better chance. Aaron Kraft is undersized. He's not a good passer. The guy can't shoot. He's not a good foul shooter. Defensively, he's good enough, but offensively, he's a liability, and a big one.
All right, no, that's fair enough. Bam! Shot you down. It's a Cleveland show. We got a lot of Buckeye fans listening, so I had to bring it up.
I was being realistic, but LaQuinton Ross does have a legitimate shot. I'm not saying this year, but in due time, LaQuinton Ross could be a decent NBA player, or at least serviceable. He's not going to be a star, but he could wind up making a big. From what I saw a year ago out of him, I expected much more than I saw this year. I expected him to make a nice jump, and he just didn't do that. If anything, he was worse.
Well, it was interesting how we went back to that draft with Kyrie and reevaluated. That was I'm really glad we did that. I was kind of like, I don't want to do this.
That. We haven't done that on the show, and it's something I think we should start going back. So maybe next show we go back there and reevaluate the 2012 draft.
Hold on. Next show we're talking about LeBron coming back to Cleveland. That he signed his deal.
Yeah.
Let that happen.
We'll spend the entire 90 minutes on that, or hour, however long that is.
No,
I
got
an
it.
Hour on the cat.
No, hold on. This is exactly what's going to happen. Here, check this out. This is what's going to happen. Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, to be specific. Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Engelman. Welcome to the Unhappy Hour. LeBron James has signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Fantastic. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 2007 draft and reevaluate where those players would have landed had we redrafted today. Zach, welcome to the show.
By the way, you didn't make me a promise. If the Cavaliers do get LeBron, you need to change the name of your show.
No. Hold on. Listen, LeBron James owes me 2 championships. Count them 2. When we achieve 2 championships from LeBron, then maybe I'll consider switching it from the Unhappy Hour to, what do you want me to call it? The Happy Hour?
We could do that.
All right, well, okay.
You call it the Zak Baris Hour if they win a championship.
ZB. No, maybe for the show, I had John B. Wells, formerly of Coast to Coast AM, now on Caravan to Midnight. He does a show with me on Agree to Disagree, and he called it, Brian, we seem to be on the same page with so many issues. We might have to change the name of the show to Agree to Agree. And so for that show, I changed the graphic, and it was called Agree to Agree. So, yes, next week's show, let's call it the Temporarily Happy Hour.
Well, let's hope it's the temporarily happy hour. So,
Yeah.
like I
Well,
said, I'm hoping for the best for Cleveland. I really am. I'm not going to sit here. I can't even sit here and guess. If you asked me what LeBron was going to do tonight, I couldn't even tell you. I would have just as good of a shot saying that he's going to retire as my guess would be right. Because like I said, I've now heard the Lakers from one of my sources. And like I said, very reliable. Very, very reliable. And it just kind of shocked me.
but who would coach the Lakers, Zach?
I'm not even going to say, but that was also involved in there. So,
I had to try to get you to say it on air because I'm not saying it.
But that's where it's taken its turn. And like I said, I haven't heard it from anybody else. I haven't heard it from anyone in the league. I haven't heard from anyone else but this one specific person. And does it sit here and shock me? Yeah. But do I think he's one of the Lakers? Absolutely not. Now, I could have gotten this news 2 days ago and said to myself, I said, okay, it's completely false. I'm never going to buy this. Even if it happens, okay. But just the odds of it happening, I think it's below 1%. But I'm not going to sit there and count it out now that I've heard it. But like I said, I think it's Cleveland, Miami. You got that 0.04% for the Lakers. You do have, but like I said, I think it goes right now just in terms, I think it's still Miami, Cleveland. Then you have, Houston in third, but I don't see him going to the West. So I think it's really Miami or Cleveland for LeBron. And I think that's it.
I think it's Cleveland or Miami. I don't think it's Miami or Cleveland.
I sure hope so. I really do. I don't want to see him in Miami. I'm sick of the Heat. I'm sick of them going to the championship every year. And like I said, if LeBron does resign in Miami, I'm hoping Melo to the Bulls, baby.
Melo to the Bulls. Melo's going on his tour. He's hitting up the Rockets. He's hitting up the Mavericks. He's hitting up. He might just be chasing money on a winning team.
I'm sitting here with the fingers crossed right now of where I want Melo, but
hey, everybody knows Chicago needs a scorer. Derrick Rose with his injuries, it's tough. It's tough. It's just tough right now, and everybody gets it.
But you put together a lineup of Noah. If there's Noah involved, and there's Carmelo, and there's Butler, and there's Rose, wow, they're going to be tough to beat.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this final question. How big into the Sweet 16 are you right now?
For the World Cup?
Indeed.
Or for next year's Sweet 16.
No, I had to throw you that curveball. No, in the World Cup. Have you watched any of the games? Do you give a crap?
Yeah, I have. Unfortunately, I missed yesterday's game. No, actually, I don't even know. Unfortunately, I was so busy with work yesterday, I did not have a chance to catch it. But I did catch the first two games. And it was funny when I was on the golf course in Miami a few weeks ago at Doral, at the Trump in Doral. I saw the whole English national team. I walked outside of the clubhouse with Wayne Rooney and all those guys. England got eliminated right away. But I think this is really cool for the U.S. It's the first time we've seen them advance in a while. I don't know when the last time they did advance. I've only been following soccer really since 2006. So, I was at the United States-Venezuela game at Cleveland Brown Stadium back in 2006, and that's when I really started to like soccer. It's not like I said, it's my fifth favorite sport in the United States, but still.
See, I used to play. I was really good. I scored a lot of goals back then. Then I played goalie. I just like playing. I had a lot of fun playing the game of soccer. I
like soccer. I think it's a cool sport, but
I don't like watching it. I really don't like it. Now, I will say the environment. We went out. Actually, I think we had the time wrong, so we were there to be there at 9 o'clock, thinking it was noon Eastern, but it was noon West Coast and 3 o'clock Eastern, something like that. And anyway, it was really neat. The whole place was packed, and it was fun. It was interesting, of course. They tied it on the last second. All that crap, the snatching a tie. My thing is this: I don't want to see the flopping and flailing and crying on the field. All these floppers, really. I can't stand the flopping, and I never want to see a tie. I think there's some redeeming qualities to soccer. I'm actually going and trying to watch a game and be part of the environment with everybody and all the excitement. But I don't want to see flopping, and you got to get rid of a tie. Otherwise, it's just an exhibition.
Oh, yeah, the ties bother me to no end. I don't like ties. And when you're getting in these playoff scenarios, at least hockey gets rid of the ties. I don't mind them in the regular season for hockey. It doesn't.
How cool is it for a shootout with one guy, one ball, and a goalie?
I'll never forget that with the penalty kicks in 2006 and 2010. It makes the game so exciting. Yeah, it sucks to have a game decided on penalty kicks sometimes, but it just makes the game so exciting.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think it needs to be that way.
I do like the World Cup. I really do like World Cup soccer. It really does. It's the only soccer that I really like. I'm not going to sit there and watch English Premier League on TV. I'm not that kind of person. If it's me, I'd much rather turn on a good old American baseball game, or an NFL game. It's not even close, for college football or an NBA game. And hell, I'd rather watch an LA Kings game too, because I do like the LA Kings and I like the NHL. The Kings, I still consider, even though I'm not in LA anymore, I still love the LA Kings. I still watch them a lot. And
I watched the final game, and I watched the goal get scored. It was nice. It was fun to celebrate because Cleveland never had a professional hockey team, so I can actually do it. I enjoyed it. That was cool, but I'm not a big hockey fan. I was
there 2 years ago when they beat the Devils, and like I said, that was it was cool. It was honestly it was a sight unseen to be a Stanley Cup. I love playoff hockey. It really is something. It's great. And I'll say this right now, like I said, soccer is my fifth favorite sport in the United States. I do like soccer a lot. I do like World Cup soccer. But like I said, you're never going to get me to tune into an MLS game. I'm not going to tune in an English Premier League game. That's just not me. I will watch the World Cup, though, and I do like it. It's something I do like. But like I said, I'm never going to be a soccer fanatic. I have too much on my plate right now to ever commit time to soccer. I do like it. Do I love it? No. But I do like the World Cup a lot.
I think it would be fantastic to make to make the nets in hockey and in soccer 2 or 3 times as big.
I think that would be cool.
And then it's still the same game, except the nuances of you just got to have some points, man. 0-0 ties, 1-1 ties.
Well,
then what did we waste 3 hours
on?
On?
To the point where it's, you see teams scoring 5 goals. I mean, you don't ever see that in soccer. And it's the other thing that drives me, the one thing that's actually cool about soccer is there's no commercials during a half. Like, you don't have to worry about it. There's 45 minutes of straight play in soccer. That's the one thing I do like about it.
You know what? I have a third thing. This whole added time where you think you know how much time's left.
Stoppage time.
You've got to stop that, or at least show us.
Stop at points. I mean, I just don't understand why the clock doesn't stop. That does bother me a little bit. But I do like that there are no commercials. You know how long every match is going to be, because you don't ever see more than 5 minutes of added stoppage time in there. But honestly, just get rid of the stoppage time and just put in timeouts.
Yeah, that.
Like the clock stops here.
Yeah, I'm watching. Wait, the game's not over. Why is the game not over? Okay, this is a very weird time to end this. Oh, and there's a header, and we lost the game. We lost the win. Seriously, what the heck was? They gotta stop the clock and not do this extra time crap. They gotta get rid of the ties. And seriously, enough of the flopping and flailing and pretending. Now, if you get bit in the shoulder by somebody, yeah, you can fall down and be like, mother. That's fine, because that's crazy, and I'm glad they kicked that guy out. But otherwise, I did enjoy it, but they have a little bit to work on. I'm not gonna. This whole conversation with the World Cup is really interesting to me, where most people have to say the thing you're supposed to say is that you're really digging it and you love all the nuances, and I just it needs some work. Take it back to the drawing board. Now, I'll keep watching, and I'm rooting for the USA. I don't
think they're ever going to change it because the rest of the world likes it in America. Like I said, soccer is a growing sport in America, and especially if the United States were to win this World Cup, which seems very highly unlikely. But if they are to win this, I think soccer goes booming in the United States. I really do.
Okay, if the U.S. wins the World Cup, will LeBron James play soccer next year?
No.
No, I'm just being ridiculous. It's been a long show, and I'm getting a little loopy. I think I need to kick back at this point. But
I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm tired. I've been traveling all week. It's been between Philly and New York this week. It's been a long week. Being out for 5 days in a row and getting less than 20 hours of sleep in that time has been rough. So, and also coming down with a fever in between. So,
you doing okay now, though?
I'm doing fine. I came back. It's my grandma's 80th birthday today, and then we're holding her big party next week. But yeah, I'm fine. I'm just like I said, I'm a little tired, and I'm just tired, and that's about it.
Well, do me a favor, get some sleep, but make sure you bar your doors and windows so that a wolf with an owl on top doesn't come in and rip you out in the middle of the night like a Hansel and Gretel story.
My mom's house has ADT. So.
Oh, okay. You're protected. All right. Well, hey, Zach, thanks for joining us, man. We really did break this down, including 4 years ago draft. I really enjoyed that. So thank you for that. And, go Team USA. Go Cavs. I'm really happy we got your boy Wiggins. I'm happy with that pick. And, I think we're going to have a lot of free agency moves to talk about maybe this time next week. So thank you for joining us. We'll figure out something with 4th of July. We'll figure it out either before or after, and we'll just make it work. So Have a good weekend, man, and enjoy spending time with your family, and we'll talk again with you soon, man.
Well, thanks as always, Brian. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Make sure you're following Zak on Twitter. He's at ZBaris. That's ZBaris. Signing out here, my name's Brian Engelman for the TNAM Radio Network and the Unhappy Hour Show. Please check out all of our Agree to Disagree and the Unhappy Hour shows at thenewamericanmedia.com. On the bottom right, there's a Facebook feed. You can do a search for The New American Media on Facebook and like our page. Also on Twitter, we're at American_media_ and youtube.com/The New American Media. Click subscribe. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace.
You are listening to The New American Media.